Thank you for staying with us for the news. Now, in our first story, artisans and spare part dealers at Swame magazine in the Ashanti region could soon heave a sigh of relief as contractors working on the Swame roundabout Afrancho Road aim at completing rehabilitation work on time. Officials of Jos Hub Construction say at least 1.5 kilometers of asphalt overlay would be completed this Friday. Ohiming Teria now reports.
The deplorable Swame roundabout Afrancho stretch of the main Kumasi-Techiman Road has been a subject of series of street protests by artisans and spare parts dealers at Swame magazine. Angry artisans protesting over delays in fixing the pothole-riddled road attacked the Member of Parliament for the area and Majority Leader, Pastor Chairman Sabuzu, who was meeting leadership of the artisans. What appeared a reactionary visit by the Member of Parliament for Swame to the concerns of his constituents over the deplorable rules turned hostile. The angry artisans pelted the MP's entourage with sachet water and other items until a police team, led by the Ashanti Regional Police Commander, whisked the MP away in a police vehicle. The road contractors, Jos Hub Construction Limited, who abandoned the site over acute shortage of bitumen, have since returned to site, promising to complete an asphalt overlay on at least 1.5 kilometers of the stretch this Friday. Moses Nakoli is an asphalt foreman at Jos Hub Constructions.
We want to see the portals from the beginning. So tomorrow we'll spray the asphalt. So the asphalt will start on Friday morning. That's why we are here. We are going to lay the asphalt because after we do we cover the potholes finish. From the pothole finish, we need to sweep, we blast, then we spray the bitumen first layer, so that the following day, because here is asphalt layer. So now we receive the bitumen.
Officials of Jos Hub Construction are promising to work around the clock in what they describe as progressive construction timetable.
You have patience, because some are my fathers, some are my brothers. Then what is going on, it's not the program for the MP, it's program for the contractor. The bitumen, like we have everything, that program shouldn't come. So that you have patience, everything will be okay.
This perhaps will come as a relief to artisans and traders of Swame magazine, who until now were faced with dusty roads. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohiming Teria reporting.
We'll be live in Swame later on the show to bring you more details of that. But in our next story, beneficiaries of the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP across the country have not received their allowances for the past 6 months. Though the ministry earlier said they had been working to mobilize funds, the beneficiaries are yet to receive anything this year. The Chief Accountant of Social Protection at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Ibrahim Yaya, says the outfit has since the end of last year not been able to raise funds to pay the beneficiaries.
The Chief Accountant of Social Protection at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Ibrahim Yahya, who spoke on behalf of the Chief Director, Dr. Hafisa Zakaria, at the sidelines of a 3-day training for the reassessment team of the LEAP program organized for 10 districts within the northern part of Ghana, said
the LEAP is paid bi-monthly and 6 cycles in a year. But since the end of last year, they are yet to receive payment.
Yeah, as you all know the situation right now, since January to now, we are supposed to pay 6 cycles in a year. We pay bi-monthly, every 2 months we pay. But since January to June last month, we've not been able to raise money to pay them. So we are owing 3 cycles.
The Chief Accountant said the ministry is not relenting in its efforts in finding resources to take care of the arrears.
But we are not sleeping. We are also working around, trying to engage government and other donors.
Mr. Ibrahim said the ministry is considering an increment in the LEAP allowance.
Increment in the household benefits is usually guided by our plan. And sometimes we take into consideration, we know for the last time we had an increment was 2015. And looking at the inflationary how CD or purchasing power has gone down, it is something we are considering too. But what happens is we normally do this with the Ministry of Finance. Sometimes we make proposals justifying why the household's allowance or benefits should be increased. And based on our justification and the circumstances prevailing, we are given the opportunity to increase this allowance. So it is something we have been thinking about all along, especially now that the purchasing power, now 64 cedis or 34, is 34 cedis or 32 cedis payment for one single household. So you can just imagine what 32 cedis will buy right now. It's very, very insignificant, but we have to follow the due process, engage the stakeholders, then they buy in and understand our situation before this increment can be made. Okay. But we have that in mind. Okay.
Now, the Western Regional Police Command is asking residents of Shama to assist the Ghana Police Service with credible information that would lead to the arrest of criminals that live among them. Regional Commander DCOP Victor Edusua Poku says volunteering information about suspicious characters and criminals in society will enable the police to discharge its duties efficiently and effectively.
The police commander, speaking at the handing over of a district police station built by the Jantuahene of Shama, Nana Kwame Nadechi I, encouraged residents to play a watchdog role to assist the police to work effectively. The commander stressed on the importance of the edifice in improving efficiency and performance in crime prevention and protecting lives and properties since the Shama district was becoming an industrial hub.
The completion and commission of this magnificent district police headquarters is timely, and the facility will go a long way to improve the efficiency and performance of police personnel here. The Ghana Police Service, by our constitutional mandate, is to protect life and property, prevent and detect crime, apprehend and prosecute offenders. Communities are changing from the old-time hamlets and now moving to villages turning into towns, into cities, with its attendant sophisticated crimes. The police require the support of members of the community to fight crime and reduce fear of crime.
The 1.8 million cedi facility replaces the 1963 semi-detached house and provides comfortable offices for investigators, officers, and command heads to work in a serene environment. The chief at the commissioning ceremony announced that his desire to see police officers work from a good working condition that will enable them to discharge security duties more effectively and efficiently saw the birth of the new district police station.
We observe with great concern the old building that accommodates police officers for policing in the Shama district. The increase in the population of Shama and its environs created a concern and the need for a modern police building to create conducive environment for policing in the Shama district and Ghana at large. We realize that a solid and committed police works program ensures police officials enjoying comfortable, satisfying conditions in which they do their important work. Unfortunately, investment by the private sector in promoting and supporting policing in the Shama district and to a large extent Ghana has not always been solid.
The Western Regional Minister, Kobina Oshridako Mensah, on his part, says the safety of the Ghanaian was a priority to government and was hence leaving no stone unturned in ensuring that citizens go about their daily lives in a conducive setting.
Chairman, community safety is a comprehensive concept that is concerned with achieving a positive state of well-being among people with social and physical environments. Not only is it about reducing and preventing injury and crime, it is also about building a strong, cohesive, vibrant and participatory communities. The promotion of safety and security is therefore a shared responsibility. Just on this note that I commend Nanano, opinion leaders and the people of Shama and nearby communities for your good partnership with the police to ensure public safety in this community.
For Joy News, in Athalia Kwanza, Shama.
Let's turn our gaze now to the next subject. And Ghana is expected to begin the issuance of digitized visas to foreigners by the end of August. Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey says the new visa system will make it practically impossible to make counterfeits. Michael Ashali has more in this report.
Hitherto, foreigners applying for a Ghanaian visa had to visit the consular and then fill many pages of documents. That is expected to change with the installation of a new visa system at the airport and at various foreign missions. Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey says the new visa will be difficult to fake and will fast-track acquisition.
This is going to make it very easy for people to come. It is going to also make sure that people cannot fake our visas, because the current visa stickers we use are handwritten at the missions abroad. So really, it's a problem. It's a major problem for us, where some people are even able to fake visas, and it's difficult for us to detect. Now, this will be a thing of the past. It will be rolled out almost immediately. I'm sure that in the next month or so, it will be rolled out. It will be rolled out first from our big missions, where we have huge numbers of applications, and then it will be extended to other missions. But I believe that with immigration, it will start after the test run and all of that.
According to her, the new visa issuance system brings the country a step closer to issuing e-visas.
Eventually, I see it as the first step towards eventually, when we have a good database, when we have people who are frequent visitors and we know them. So at some point, the decision will be made, working together with the Immigration Service, whether we can now proceed to electronic visas, because then we know that we have a good database. It is safe for us to do this.
Head of Public Affairs at the Ghana Immigration Service, Amakwata, says the new visas will put the Immigration Service at a better position to prevent blacklisted persons and terrorists from entering the country, as the new system synchronizes the information from all the foreign missions.
Current process, which this new system is coming to replace, is that you walk into a mission in the UK, you fill some forms, then the consular officer in our mission will make a determination and issue the visa. But meanwhile, at the point of entry in Ghana, the immigration officer doesn't know who is coming with the kind of information that has been provided. So maybe in the UK, he may give an address as Mr. A. He comes here and says Mr. B. So now this system is going to help us to synchronize information from our missions and information that hit our servers from the mission. So if you should change or alter your information on the card, you become a suspect for us to further interrogate you. So in fact, it's going to improve on security and safeguard our borders against infiltrations.
The new system, when rolled out, will first be available in London and Germany, but the equipment will be installed at the Kotoka International Airport later this week. Ghana's immigration officers will be trained on how to use it this week. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Let's head over to Parliament now, and the minority is taking on Communications Minister Ursula Owusu-Ekufo for failing to appear before the House to answer pertinent questions. The minister was scheduled to answer 10 questions, but her deputy informed Parliament the answers were not ready and that the minister would learn would respond to them at a later date. Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak did not take kindly to this, accusing the minister of disrespect.
There's a deliberate attempt from this ministry to evade answering questions. Mr. Speaker, just check the number of times the minister has written, the ministry has written through a director, not even the minister, to this house that her questions be rescheduled. Mr. Speaker, now you are hearing that some of the answers are not ready. All the 10 questions, answers are not ready. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, our colleague have shown some respect to even come here herself to make this plea. I really wish it was her own minister so that I can speak my mind to her. But please tell the minister that what she will not tolerate when she was in the opposition, she should not be doing to other members. This House right to oversight should be better known to her as a member of this House. That if she doesn't respect this House, she shouldn't expect any other person to respect this House. And this is more than the 5th time she has written to defer this. But unfortunately, you are here, and a harmless deputy minister, that is making it very difficult for us to speak our mind. But we want to take you by your word that if the minister cannot find answers, please find answers and come. Because you are saying within this week. I want to take you by your word. But I'm really worried that it is you who is here, and you are making me hold back a lot of things that I would have said about how this ministry is treating this House. Mr. Speaker, if she cares to know, even their annual report, the annual report from that ministry, her agencies, all of them are delaying. And you have the kind of minister, once she was here, Mr. Speaker, the deputy minister should be spared the agony of what will have said to the minister.
Well, that's it. That's our serving of the AM news for you this morning. Up next, we give you the latest from the newspapers. The news review is up next. Stay. Thank you for staying with us for the news review. We have as our guest Dr. Kwame Asante, who is with the Center for European Studies, head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, also a political scientist. Doc, a very good morning to you, sir.
Ben.
You sound a little tired. I know since we come to you here on Saturday, it was quite a day, but you stood with us. You had to, grab a bite and all of that, get some rest, but you stood with us. We're very grateful that you took that time with us.
Always at your service. Always
Great.
At your service.
Great. We've not spoken since the aftermath of, the National Delegates Conference. So I'll start from there, because that was our very last interaction. How do you feel things panned out for the MPP in this latest conference? With the new faces we're seeing, of course, Stephen Ayesu's team, there was going to be a Stephen anyway. And then we have JFK for the general secretaryship position. The vice president has said that he is going to work with all of these officials and so have other losers as well. What is your quick reflection on what happened on Saturday leading into Sunday?
Yeah, as we all witnessed, the election went on very well. It was well organized. Little problems here and there, but we can, gloss over that. But all in all, it went well. In terms of the executive, we saw the old order changes where you have only few people in. And for me, that is refreshing, because if they had maintained the old order, NDC would have just smiled, because that was the war machine they used in 2020, and it produced 137 in Parliament. So with Intim coming in and a new scribe, with the organizing secretaries, they are good to go. The blend is good in the sense that there are now fresh energies that are going to be injected into the system. And then you have a leader who is a chairman, who is experienced, and he's going to be the focus around which all the party machinery will revolve. Given his experience as a chairman, I know that he should be able to work very well with his team, and then with a shared vision of whoever emerges as a flag bearer, they are supposed to work extremely well and then get themselves battle ready for 2024.
And you feel that with the current crop of executives, executive members, they're going to basically be more of an impediment to the opposition NDC, right?
That is a difficult question to answer.
Well, I'm only premising it. I'm only premising that on what you said, that the NDC would have smiled if they had seen that the old guard, as you mentioned, had been retained wholesale. But now that we've seen some changes, you're saying, I mean, the NDC will not necessarily be smiling, which must intimate that then this crop of leaders could actually be what the NPP needs to break the 8.
The team is solid, there's no doubt about that. But it goes beyond the team. There are a lot of factors that will come to play. The economy must be fixed because that influences voter choices. And out of the economy, then you are able to address issues of unemployment, which is also another factor that voters consider, employment conditions. Out of the economy, you can build infrastructure, which is a critical index of voter choices. So it's not only the team, but other factors also come to play. And that is why I'm not able to give you a definite answer, because if you are not able to manage these ones well, NDC will have a field day.
Right. Let's move from there, but stay with leadership, Dr. Asa Asante, because the latest Afrobarometer report intimates that 87% of respondents feel Ghana is headed in the wrong direction. Only about 11% feel the country is on the right trajectory. There's also an 85% quantum who feel the economy is performing fairly bad or very bad. 85% of those sampled feel that the economy is not headed in the right direction. It's a big story we're dealing with this morning, but I'd like to run it by you. What is your thinking on this? Because guess what? The 87% is a 24 percentage point. That is the 87% saying the country is headed in the wrong direction is a 24 percentage point increment since 2019. When it comes to their views on the economy as well, the 85% who feel the country's economy is in, the quagmire, that is also a 62% upward trajectory from 2019. That makes for stark reading. Your thoughts?
Yes, there's no doubt that this is a true reflection of the situation on the ground, and the survey has captured exactly so. Because you and I cannot deny the fact that we are in hard times. The economic condition is not favorable, and that has been expressed clearly in the survey. Then the wrong direction. Yes, it depends upon their perspectives, because when they look at certain things, then you can agree with them. If you look at, the mandate that is given to the president, and then the promises that the party gave and all that, is that what we are seeing? The president promised us that he will, manage the public purse. We are seeing a different story in the sense that corruption is still, very high. If you compare it to the NDC, NDC managed corruption far better, and the Transparency International report is an evidence to this. If you look at the waste in the system, we're still grappling with that. It has not been managed extremely well. If you look at even priority programs and projects, you realize that we are just beating about the bush. Very little emphasis on our real priority areas. And then if you look at even the focus and direction of the country, you realize that we have a little difficulty. So I share in that opinion that there is a lot to be done if the government really want to break the eight. Yeah.
Let's get into the newspapers, Doc, starting with the Daily Graphic now. Nkrumah Mausoleum undergoes expansion. Tourism Minister cuts short for modernization, and work has commenced on the rehabilitation and modernization of the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park in Accra, expected to be completed in 9 months. The $3 million project entails the building of a new presidential library, a training center, a new restaurant, and VVIP lounge. Others are an artistic freedom wall and music and light fountain to boost night tourism at the park. Funding for the rehabilitation was provided by the World Bank under the Ghana Tourism Development Project. But as we stay on this, I would like to know what your take is on this. But a related matter, Asumdwe Park, where we left our former president, the professor, Atta Mills. And it's stirred the hornet's nest in recent times. Supposedly, there's some renovation going on there, and allegedly by the Atta Mills family. Yesterday, we heard from Samuel Atta Mills, brother to the late former president, chastising Koku Anyidoho, formerly of the NDC. I say formerly because he's been expunged from the books of the party, that he is doing everything to, spite the family. That how can you do these things without performing the rituals required? They suggest that maybe the body of the former president had been moved, and they are also vexed at the president for allowing an unrecognized group, a group not recognized by the family, not recognized by the NDC, of doing whatever renovation it may be without their consent. How do you feel about that matter? Yesterday, I heard Samuel Atta Mills refer to Koku Anyidoho as a buffoon. Koku Anyidoho came back and also called him a hypocrite and other things, and that he would never, he together with John Mahama would never set foot at the Asumdwe Park. A whole convoluted mess. How do you feel about that situation?
I'm so surprised that, we are working on the mausoleum without the knowledge of Mills's family.
So the mausoleum, the mausoleum is Nkrumah, but I'm tying it into the Asumdwe Park. Right.
It's very unfair that you are working with the Asumdwe Park without the knowledge of the family. I mean, for Christ's sake, Mills is the president of Ghana, but he belongs to a family, and that family respect must be there, where, if anything, they must be known. We have seen rest places of such people and all that. And then families play a very important role there. So for me, I don't think it's a fair treatment to the family at all. Whoever is in charge should be able to call in the family so that they can assist in the process. It's very, very unfair because as Africans and Ghanaians, we hold dear to our hearts our ancestors, our departed relatives, and that we don't want anybody who is not a member of the family to tamper with anything that relates to the dead. It's something that we cherish so much. I believe strongly that they have not been fair to the family.
What would be your advice to the former Deputy General Secretary of the party then, Koku Anyidoho? Because mind you, he had a group that he called the, Atta Mills Foundation and all of that. It's not recognized by the family because guess what? The NDC sometime, I think last year, also came up with a similar foundation, which is the recognized foundation. Koku Anyidoho has been pursuing this matter. He alleges that, he calls on Samuel Atta Mills, for example, to produce the autopsy report of the former president on the basis of his death. He's been making a lot of allegations and all of that. What would you suggest to Koku Anyidoho in the midst of this? Because obviously, he has neither the support of Atta Mills' family nor that of the NDC, from which he's been expelled. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. What would be your candid advice to him?
I think that, yes, as much as he has been with Mills, he's been associated with Mills for a very long time, all that. Now that Mills is gone, I think he should allow his family to handle these things. He can have his, center or whatever you want to call it. But for the family must be in charge, of course, in conjunction with government, regarding where the rest place of the former president. I think Mr. Anyidoho must be advised in that direction, because it's unfair that the family will not get opportunity to have to, as it were, know what is going on. It's very, very unfair because in certain ethnic groups and all that, you'll be hauled before the palace to come and answer questions on that. So I'm not sure that you want to go on that tangent. I think he has played his role. He has served his master very well, and the whole world recognizes that. But this one, he should allow the family and government to know exactly what they want to do. I think that is fair to the family.
Let's take a batch of stories from the Daily Graphic and sew it up nicely. Page 13, equipment for visas on arrival ready. That's according to Foreign Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey. And the Ghana Immigration Service has taken delivery of equipment to enable the country to deliver a new high-quality visa system. The equipment, some of which are also being installed at missions abroad, include 3 visa issuing stations, a server, and visa stickers, which will enable the country to prepare towards the issuance of electronic visas on arrival. The visa stations and the server will be installed at the Kotoka International Airport and the GIS Data Center, respectively, by the close of the week. That's the first story. The other one, Ghana to sit 2022 WASSCE alone. We like to use write exams, but I think it's better to say sit an exam. Only Ghanaian candidates are left to sit the West African Senior High School Certificate Examination, scheduled from August 1st to September 27, 2022. This is because the other 4 member countries of the West African Examinations Council, that is Nigeria, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia, have returned to the May-June calendar and had administered the WASSCE for their school candidates from May 9 to June 24 this year. The 4 countries have had their academic calendars streamlined to enable them sit the examination in May-June as Ghana sticks to the new normal calendar occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. I don't know what this means for you, Doc, because Ghanaian candidates will still compete for the National Distinction Award and the WAEC Excellence Awards with candidates from those countries, but it means that we're basically extricating ourselves from that system. Prudent move? This only arrived on the back of COVID, so should we stick to it?
I'm sure the decision is based on sound reasoning. I will grant that to the ministry. Maybe they've reflected on that, and then they are in that firm conclusion that this is the way to go. If that is done involving all the stakeholders, and this is the decision that comes out of that, I am for it. But if it's something that it was an ad hoc situation or decision, then the time has come for them to take a second look at the issue and then make a different determination. Other than that, if it's born out of excessive consultation among stakeholders, then I think it's in line with normal practice. I'm for it.
Let's look at some stories in the middle spread, and it will be a wrap for us in the Daily Graphic. Collaborate to tell African story better. That's the editor of the Graphic group, the editor Graphic, that is Kobi Asma, a call that I wholly support because the African story has not really been told. You speak to a lot of young people today, 20s, 30s, and they know practically nothing about our real history in the context of what we have achieved as Africans. In the past, you ask anybody about Mansa Musa and they would have precious little to tell you. The different empires, Songhai, Mali, Ghana, and all of that. We don't know our roots. Some don't even know the meaning of Ghana. The Ghana that we bear, we don't know the meaning of it. So important points to be made. Human trafficking conviction records improve. That's according to the Gender Ministry. But I want you to focus a bit on this, this story on page 17. Inadequate budgetary allocation forces crew to demand money. CEO of the National Ambulance Service tells committee. I'm sure you followed that story in recent times about a pregnant woman and all of that. Now, the CEO of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Nuhu Zakaria, has admitted to the Special Committee of Parliament investigating the death of a pregnant woman in a national ambulance that the crew had to demand money for fuel due to the inadequate budgetary allocation from government. And the point he makes is that a lot of the time they are fueled for accident-related cases. And so if you come with something of this nature, you have to cough up the money in the 21st century. Dr. Assassin.
I think we are not doing well at all. Professor Zakaria must look at it again. Because
but what can he realistically do? He is one person, he is in charge, he has been a long-standing head of the National Ambulance Service. If he comes to say this, it must mean that it is a long-standing problem. And what can he do? Can he fork out money out of his pocket? He can't. So...
No, I share in his pain. But what I'm saying is that we must look at it as a state and then help the situation. Otherwise, all the beautiful things that the president has done with regard to the ambulance service, which is a great contribution the president did for this country, will come to naught if we don't have a certain contingency fund that we can rely on in matters of this nature or in situations of this nature. We need to have a contingency fund for such cases. Otherwise, we are going to have a lot of problems on our hands from time to time. But I'm not sure that's the vision of the president with regard to the provision of these ambulances. It has really served the state very well, and I applaud the president for that. But I believe that the authorities must support Professor Zakaria to be able to deliver on the promise of the president. Yes.
The Ghanaian Times newspaper now, and restoring status of Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. Government earmarks $3 million for rehabilitation to boost tourism and create jobs. Ghana rescues 831 human trafficking irregular migration victims in 2021. That's according to Dr. Afisa Zakaria. And new site for nuclear power plant to be named soon. That's according to a deputy energy minister. Let's look at the story on page 17. So Ghana rescues 831 human trafficking irregular migration victims 2021. About 831 victims of human trafficking and irregular migration were rescued by law enforcement officers in 2021. Within that same period, 32 cases of human trafficking and irregular migration were prosecuted, resulting in the convictions of 13 for human trafficking, 9 for child labor, and 10 for other related offenses. The Chief Director of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Afisa Zakaria, who disclosed this, said in all, 87 cases were reported and investigated by law enforcement agencies and called on stakeholders to work together to curb the menace. I want you to look at that, the work of the Gender Ministry, of course, going on still without Sarah Adrasafo, but also to look at the external context. So these are internal contexts. You know, in recent times, what happened to some Ghanaians in Gambia many years back, and the supposed reparation of about $600,000 that have not been paid. Some have been saying government should pursue that. What is your take on these?
I believe that the government must go into that case and let us get to the finish line so that we can put that one behind us. But this issue of human trafficking is becoming one too many. Within the sub-region, we are gradually becoming notorious for such ungodly activities. And it's about time we stood our grounds and deal with this thing head on. I am happy that in spite of the difficulties, the challenges and all that resource constraint, our security agencies and the ministries have worked very well. But we need to support them. Government must support them so that they continue the fight. My good friend Anas also did a great job with regard to that. And the police have been very instrumental and very helpful in this direction. We need more resources for them to be able to fight this battle because it doesn't speak well of us. I'll end with this by looking at the history, the African history thing you talk about. which I think is an important one. You see, history is an important subject, and it helps us to identify ourselves and a host of other things. If you look at this government, the syllabus that government put in place for class 1 to class 6, very beautiful history. I don't know whether you've got opportunity to look at it. Very beautiful. But it's unfortunate that the books have not come out. And I'm wondering, why is it taking them such a long time? Because if you look at the content, my brother, I read history, great one. It's something that will stand the test of time and is able to articulate clearly how we have arrived here from where we come from. So I applaud those who championed our cause, that history must be taught and taught very well so that people will know their real identities. It is very important if you want to build a nation.
Oh, and just because you made mention of that, I might as well indicate, because I was asking everybody whether we all knew what Ghana meant. It refers to the warrior king, and that is how great the name is that we carry, Ghana. But have we lived up to that name? That's another story. On page 4, government to announce site for nuclear power plant, according to a deputy energy minister. And the government will soon announce a site and vendor for the development of a nuclear power plant. The Deputy Minister of Energy, Mr. William Oreku Edu, has hinted. According to him, the Nuclear Power Ghana, NPG, has submitted a report on 4 sites along the coast and about 5 vendors after feasibility assessment to Cabinet for review and approval. But let's take a quick look at the international front. African nations meet on critical nature conservation, and delegates from across Africa launched on Monday the first continent-wide gathering about the role of protected areas and ensuring the future of our planet in Rwanda. The IUCN Africa Protected Areas Congress was being held just a few months before the COP15 summit in December, when global leaders were aiming to adopt a much-delayed pact that is to shield nature from the damage wrought by human activity. But tied to that, Doc, half of Somalia's population is hungry. Now, this is not a novelty when it comes to Somalia, but it's severe. The worst drought in 4 decades was raging through the Horn of Africa. The World Food Programme said up to 20 million people in Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia were at risk of starvation by the end of the year. Now, Somalia is bearing the brunt, with half of the population now hungry. Hundreds of thousands of people are abandoning their homes in rural Somalia and heading to camps for the internally displaced. So, like I said, in areas like Sudan, Somalia, the situation, even parts of Ethiopia, the situation hasn't been good over the years, especially here. But now it appears to have got really bad. Your quick take on these stories as we move to the next newspaper.
Yeah, the problem that you have enumerated are born out of climate conditions where we have not been able to keep the ecosystem very well. Environmental degradation is going on, so your soil lose their fertility, and the rainfall patterns continue to be a problem without correspondent solution from government with regard to irrigation and whatnot. And this had really exacerbated the situation. I believe that going forward, our leaders must take environmental issues seriously, and then also tie it with irrigation programs, and then make agriculture our backbone. I'm surprised that a continent that is the first home of man, which we expect all of us to be, conscious about agriculture, we have thrown it off-board, and we are now suffering. So the little problem that we have, we are in crisis. I believe that we must put emphasis on agriculture. It is the only way to go in line with maintenance of a clean environment that will sustain agriculture. If we fail to do this, I'm afraid we'll continue to beg for food and other things that should not be the case.
Let's get into other papers very quickly. Daily Guide, JB Killer for mini trial. I'm talking about Danila Siedu, a.k.a. Sexy Don Don, as he calls himself. Sunyani Airport ready, and quite a while back we were talking about the state of the airport. Now it is ready, so at least we must make mention of that as well. NPP to upgrade communication, and let's focus on this one. 21 million euros for Swame interchange, and that is interesting. You know, on on the back of our latest report on what had happened in Swame, the Swame area with the member of parliament for that area, who is also the majority leader, Oseiche Mensah Bonsu, and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, being pelted with sachets of pure water and being, attacked, so to speak. This has occurred. And I've seen reactions on social media where people say, well, that is the only language they understand. Buga buga. Your quick thoughts on that?
I believe that, you see, MPs have a very important role to play. They are not only MPs, but they are representatives of their people. And that is why we give them all the support so that they represent their people, not by representing their interests, their aspirations, and all that. So from time to time, you visit them, you organize DEBA, and then you inform them about government policies and programs, and then you hear from them at first hand their problems, and you try to address them. As soon as there is a little gap, you see some of these problems. So I'm sure the Honorable Majority Leader has seen the problem. He's so experienced, and he should be able to deal with it. I think there is something wrong because the people deserve the things that they are asking for. Infrastructure, if you look at the Constitution, it gives you an idea that at least government must make effort so that every portion of this land will have a fair share of the infrastructure development. So it's a critical requirement on part of government, and that when you don't do it, you are not going to suffer the things that the minister suffered now, but you are going to, for a very long time, have a certain political deficit with regard to that. People decide on election based on that. It is a second important variable that influences voter choices. So it is in the interest of political parties and then MPs to do it and then fix those infrastructure challenges. Otherwise, they will fall on their own dagger.
Let's look at a few more stories. I'm going to lump them together so you can respond to them in batches. Republic Press, TUC boss scoffs at government for choosing cathedral over welfare of workers. I'm talking about Dr. Anthony Yauba, Secretary General of the TUC. There's also JFK forgives Wontumi, and you know why. Wontumi had banded together the chairman of the different regions when it comes to the MPP, urging them to support, and they showed that support for John Bwedu, only to be on the losing side. That's with Republic Press. The Today newspaper, no better particulars, no approval. It has to do with a $1 billion syndicated loan agreement. And the minority, there seems to be some improvement in talks on the syndicated loan, but the minority is digging its heels in, saying if the right things are not done, they will not give their end of the approval. So the TUC boss scoffing at government over pursuing a national cathedral project when people are hungry, and the $1 billion syndicated loan. Quick reactions?
I believe that Parliament, I will start with the last one. Parliament must look at it critically because we are in very difficult times. So over politicization of certain issues, we must take a second look. The issue of the syndicated loan is crucial now. So I believe that Parliament must reflect on it and then give the government green light. Otherwise, we are likely to have more problems, and I'm not sure that is what they themselves in Parliament want. So I think before they meet again, they should have common ground and should be able to do the needful for the good people of this country. Back to the story of TUC boss and then cathedral. I disagree vehemently because, look, cathedral is a good project, but the timing is wrong. We are in difficult times. There are a lot of things that are of priority to us than cathedral. So if the TUC, which is a rep of what? Labor, in terms of their demands, in terms of their needs, in terms of their aspiration, that's the voice of the leader, then it's unfortunate. Because is that what we need now? It's a question I posed to the TUC boss. And that look at the many things that we desire, we need, with regard to what labor, with regard to families, schools, and all that. Is that what we need now? What are the things that really inform that decision that should supersede every other interest. I disagree vehemently. I think it's a misplaced priority, and I'm not expecting the TUC to champion that cause. They should look at things that are of critical importance to us now than this one, which we think that it will serve no purpose at the moment. I'm sorry to say that. I am not for it at all.
Right. In less than a minute, I'd like you to help me with this. That will be the final bit to you. The Daily Statesman, Ghanaians turn to local rice as Southeast Asia export ban affects supply. I've always said we should grow more rice, get more self-sufficient with the grains, but it's not a call that we've heeded, unlike what Nigeria is doing. The other bit is the latest Global Info analytics in terms of the appeal of the likely candidates from both the MPP and the NDC pegs it this way. Mahama, former President Mahama, leads Bawumia by 58% to 31%, and Alan Chamanting, if he faces off with him, by 61% to 30%, meaning that per the latest survey, it would be a drubbing for either party if they became the reps of the NPP, at least for now. Quick reflections on that.
The last one, interesting observations and then findings. We wait and see because all the two parties are gearing up for a showdown 2024. So they will put up their best candidates, and I believe that those who will be able to study very well voter choices, the needs of the electorate, and then will have a strategy and resources to prosecute the agenda of their manifesto, they will carry the day. So I look for a good fight, 2024, where it's going to be healthy, but driven by issues, issue-driven campaign. That's what I'm looking forward to. And that will be able to, parties will be able to articulate clearly their programs and policies. But I'll end with the issue of the emphasis on local rights. It's long overdue. All right. We sometimes our position is very hypocritical. We shy away from the things that we grow here, rice, and then rely so much on foreign one. When there is a problem, then we are held to ransom. Look at the hypocrisy on our part, where a number of Ghanaians, enjoy wache, which is produced out of local. They use local rice to produce, but when they are looking for some for their homes, they are looking for foreign rice. What kind of hypocrisy is that? Nobody will build our industry for us. We need to build this industry and make it solid. And scientists will tell you that even the local one is more healthy. Why are we shying away from this? We should encourage ourselves, grow what we eat, and eat what we grow.
Tied to that, Abdul Mumin Hamza says, please, we know the country is hungry, but to be honest, food in the north here isn't that costly. It's southern people killing one another as if they don't farm. He also says, Doc is always doing great on all topics with deep thinking. I don't know him, but I started enjoying him since last week. So that's some commendation for you, Doc. Thank you for joining. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, Director for the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Up next, we serve you sports on the AM show.
Well, I don't have any idea about the virus you are talking about, but then I think if it is here, then there has to be a need of educating people about it as well. I think if it's a virus and it's around, I'm sure it's killing people in the system, so people should be well aware of what is happening around us nowadays too. So it's here, and the COVID-2 is here as well. I think it would be good that the government educates us more about this virus.
Yeah, I'm very much aware about the new virus that is fast spreading all over. And it's a caution to everyone to be careful, just according to the conditions given regard the COVID-19 virus.
Well, I just heard it, in the news that it's killing people. but it is a task for the government to make sure that, we take this announcement serious, because, when the COVID came, it's like more or less people were advised to take, some measures in order to use the masks and other things, washing our hands regularly and all those things. But here comes the case, this one too is becoming serious. Something that is killing people, and you talk of zoology and all those things. And this is a sickness that we don't know whether we have the cure for it. So as much the government is concerned, much more, education should be passed on the general public in order for us to create much awareness on this.
I haven't heard of it. I only know of corona.
I didn't hear anything about that. So I am innocent.
Which virus? I've not heard about it. I listen to the news a lot, but I've not heard about it.
Actually, I've heard of it in the news, but I did not know much about it. And then just like COVID-19 came around, and then we were much educated, and then it was all over in the news. The last one I heard was Omicron. So with the new one, I heard it in the news, but for the details, I don't know much about it.
It is today that I am really hearing about it. I actually haven't really looked at it, but I don't know why we are faced with all these challenges this time around, and I pray that our big men will try and do something about it.
So that's it from the general public on the Marburg virus, and we just stepped out to find out if people know about this new virus, which has already killed 2 people in the country. We'll be having a discussion here, educating you on what to know about the virus, how to prevent the virus from getting into your system, and what to do if you show any signs or have any symptoms. So I'll be speaking to Dr. Michael Owusu, who is with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, and Dr. Franklin Iseju-Bekwe, who is with the Public Health Directorate of the Ghana Health Service. As you heard, a lot of people don't know about it, so we need to find out from the Ghana Health Service what's being done in terms of education. But let me just bring you some details on the virus. So there have been 2 cases confirmed in the Ashanti region, and unfortunately, these 2 persons have lost their lives. So the process of confirmation of these cases these 2 cases in the Ashanti region. So on the 7th of July 2022, we had our preliminary findings from Noguchi here in Ghana. And there was a corroboration of the results. The samples were taken to the Institut Pasteur in Dakar, Senegal. And the WHO so far has provided external support for the transfer of the samples. 98 persons have been quarantined. There was contact tracing in the Ashanti and Savannah regions. And out of the 98 people quarantined, as of the last time we checked, about 30 of them have been sent home. They've been asymptomatic. Now, the Marburg virus is a rare but severe hemorrhagic fever that affects both humans and non-human primitives and fruit bats. They are natural hosts of the Marburg virus. What's the mode of transmission? Now, it's transmitted to people from animals, and it spreads among humans through human-to-human transmission from direct contact with body fluids, blood, and other discharges from the affected person or animals. So here are the symptoms, okay? Fever, bloody diarrhea, bleeding from the gums, bleeding into the skin, bleeding into eyes, and bloody urine. You need to pay attention to these symptoms. I'll go over them again. Fever, bloody diarrhea, bleeding from the gums, bleeding into the skin, bleeding into the eyes, and bloody urine. Now, here's how to prevent yourself from contracting the virus. Avoid exposure to mines or coverts inhabited by fruit bat colonies. Thoroughly check all animal products before cooking and consumption. Now,
The WHO is expected in the coming days with a team of experts to assist Ghana fight the outbreak of the Marburg virus disease. Now, here's the support that will be given to Ghana. The team will provide coordination, risk assessment, and infection prevention measures in support of ongoing investigations into the latest outbreak of the Marburg virus. So once we set the tone, let's begin our conversation now. Dr. Michael Owusu is a virologist with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. Good morning, Doc, and thank you for joining us. So we've set the tone for our conversation. Okay, there are a number of symptoms that we have shared for our viewers to know what to look out for. Some of them are very easy to identify, like blood in your stool, that's bloody diarrhea, that's a fever. But what do we mean when we say bleeding into the skin and bleeding into the eyes? What's that?
Yeah, so good morning to you and good morning to all your viewers. So the diagnosis of this disease is more clinical. And the physicians who are directly involved in managing patients are best placed to tell exactly how this looks like. But I believe that Dr. Sedubekwe may give some more highlight on how clinically you'll be able to see. But basically, I mean, at the cornea, around the eyes, if the vessels that are in the eye begin to swell, the eye become reddish. It's what sometimes you may think that is highly inflamed. And you may have blood leaking around some part of the eye. Bleeding to the skin also is something that is more clinical. So you could have some spots around, but I think I want to defer that question rather to a colleague physicians who have managed and handled these cases.
Sure.
They can better describe exactly how you can see. But the point is that these are the large stage or overt signs, such that if you see this, basically you know it's unusual and you have to report to the facility. What we must be concerned about are the initial stages of malaria, fever, fatigue, and diarrhea that is like any other normal disease. Those areas are things that people may ordinarily see. But by the time we get to bleeding in the eye and bleeding in the nose, you will be rushed to the hospital. You cannot stay in the house and look out for this. But I hope that maybe my colleague physician can best talk about the actual clinical signs that comes with this.
Right, Doc. So we've been dealing with the coronavirus. Quite recently, we heard from the Ghana Medical Association saying that we needed to step up our efforts when it came to adhering to the safety protocols, because we're beginning to see a rise in the number of infections. Then we heard of the monkeypox virus. Now it's the Marburg virus. What is happening to our world? Why do we appear to be having all these viruses, you know, all of a sudden? Is it a case that we're paying more attention now, or there really is a problem that we must be looking at?
Yes, so our world has been sitting on a time bomb for years, and we are only seeing what is now emerging as problems that we're beginning to experience. And let me take you back. In Africa, you know that different countries have recorded these outbreaks across. But even in the case in Ghana, the point is that, is it unusual? No. In somewhere 2011, October to December, the Amansia Western Ashanti region recorded 2 cases of Lassa fever. Lassa fever belongs to a family called the Bunya virus that is transmitted by mice. So when the mice defecate on food products, when they pass their urine, people get infected. So 2 people got it and died, and these were farmers. And they went ahead to investigate and found that the mice were the ones that were carrying the virus, and they were the ones that transmitted the virus. In Greater Accra region, as at 2004, 2009, a large number of investigations have been done to show that there are over 1 million food bats which are in the region. And they were screened, about 200 of them were screened, and some were found to have antibodies to Ebola viruses. And some have also seen antibodies to the Marburg viruses sitting in these animals. I mean, even in Ghana, if you know, somewhere 2003, when the US reported their first outbreak of monkeypox, this was associated with about 812 small animals that were imported into the US from Ghana. And these were mainly squirrels and some rats and other things that were going to be used for investigation. So it was later traced back that these were the animals from Ghana that were associated with those outbreaks of monkeypox in the US. So some investigators came back to Ghana, investigated those animals, and found out that some of the animals, squirrels and some rats in Ghana, are also harboring this monkeypox virus. So the question about where they come from, they have been living with us in their own ecosystem, but then the human activities, we are invading into their environment. We are trying to get access to where they were naturally supposed to live. And as we get access to these animals and interchange with them and hunt for them, this is what the world is likely to face. So for me, I think that it's been something boiling over the years, and we are experiencing what human activities is living on, destroying of the forest, destroying bushes, mining in caves, and getting into areas that is not for human beings to live in. And if you ask me, I would say that this is why some of these things are coming up.
Doc, you mentioned that some of these animals were seen to have antibodies of the Marburg and the other monkeypox virus, right?
Ebola
and Marburg virus. Yeah. Does that mean we are in the process of either finding a cure or finding a better way to manage it? Because sometimes what we hear from the world of science is that antibodies help in finding cures to these viruses.
Yes, in the case of Ebola, because we know a lot about the virus and the fact that it has caused some outbreaks. As we speak now, there is a vaccine for Ebola. If you have read about the recombinant vesicular stomatitis virus that is attached to some part of the protein of Ebola. So for some of the outbreaks that occurred in places like Guinea and Uganda, they were vaccinated. And within a short while, the outbreak was arrested. So I'm sure in a short while, once Marburg is becoming a problem, I will not be surprised that vaccines will be designed very soon to help curb some of this. But in the meanwhile, whilst vaccines are not available and drugs are not available, I think the precautionary measures are very important. The COVID protocols, ensuring you wash your hand, ensuring that you limit the intake of bushmeat, especially in the communities affected, as much as you can. You have to reduce intake of bushmeat, especially things like bats, to try and then avoid it as much as you can. And also be vigilant to report cases to the healthcare facility. If somebody is bleeding, somebody is vomiting, and you don't seem to know what is causing it, just report to the facility, get the person there and get them handled. And when somebody dies in your community, you don't keep the body and handle it in the way you want. So you expect the community to cooperate with the healthcare official. If they tell you that for this person that has died, the symptoms qualify as something that is due to viral hemorrhagic fever disease, and therefore your body will be kept from you and be further investigated. You don't have to get angry. You have to cooperate, because these are not normal times. If you trace the disease from Ebola and Marburg and stuff, the transmission route is most of them through handling of dead bodies. Because when somebody dies, the body becomes very, very infectious. So as you move the body from place to place, as you handle the fluids from the body, as you interact with the body, you are only allowing the virus to adapt to human transmission. And when it becomes very effective in that part, dealing with it will become very difficult. Now we have 2 cases, and it appears that the human-to-human transmission, I'm not sure is that efficient. And the viruses will have to learn. They must learn how to adapt to the community when they jump from animals to humans, and then establish themselves before they can do it. And if you're able to close the gap immediately, you can stop the human-to-human pathway and now think about where we got it from. So this time is crucial, and people, the community, the public must help the public health division to be able to bring a stop or arrest this outbreak and then get us on free from this, and then we can look into the future on how to deal with this.
Yes, finally, Dr. Owusu, we know that COVID spreads fast because there was this whole debate about whether it's airborne or not, and so people were debating whether we should wear the mask. But thankfully, like you've just said, this virus is not as infectious from human to human as it is with COVID. However, the fatality rate is way higher. Finally, as you wrap up and as I introduce Dr. Isidro Bekwe, what is the cause of this? Why do we have the viruses behaving the way they do, and why do we have some having relatively lower fatality rates than others?
Well, it's like saying that why human beings, some people get a disease and they fall sick immediately, and others get it and recover. Viruses have different features. They are classified by level of lethality and infectiousness and virulence. So if you look at the group of virus that does this, they are highly virulent. And virulent means that once you get it, it can attack many cells in the body, from the kidneys to the liver. Everywhere it gets, they have receptors there. They can attach, they can transmit, and they can destroy. So this makes viruses like Ebola, Marburg, and even Lassa fever and Crimean Congo viruses a bit difficult to handle because of their aggressiveness in causing destruction and causing deaths. So it's the nature, it's the behavior of it. But if you compare this to COVID, I mean, the good thing about Marburg and the hemorrhagic fever virus is that they are mostly through contact.
Hello, Dr. Owusu? Hello, Doc? Well, too bad. It appears we've lost Doc there. But let me introduce Dr. Franklin Isidro. He's Public Health Director of the Ghana Health Service. Good morning, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me start off with you on the symptoms. We've read out quite a number of them. Some are very easy to identify, like bloody diarrhea, fever. But what do we mean when we say bleeding into the skin and bleeding into the eyes, so that people just know what you're dealing with? Hello, Doc.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. So, I think I'm going to state that the bleeding is the end point of when you have the infection. So you don't normally have to wait to get the bleeding before you suspect.
Okay.
For an area that has the outbreak, the index of suspicion should be so high that even if you have a fever, that maybe is not resolving to the normal anti-malaria or antibacterial, you need to suspect. So I think that this issue about the bleeding is not a good guide. So it's a general kind of case definition for when you don't have an outbreak, that you need to use it. But for now that we have an outbreak, I think we don't need to wait for the diarrhea. I think that for the bleeding will be for community case definitions. Like if you want the volunteers to help you to identify or suspect cases, then you use that case definition. But for a clinician, you don't need to wait for it, because that will be the end stage of the disease. And there are a number of reasons why you are getting that. You have coagulopathies when you have the severe form of the disease. So anywhere that you can have the bleeding, it can occur. So any opening can have it. But I think that for this stage, we do not want to focus more on the bleeding. I think that the two cases, if you look at the history, I would say that the first one was missed because it was not a typical presentation for acute hemorrhagic fever. It was when the second one occurred, and then the interval is about a day, and they had a sample. So they said, could it be acute hemorrhagic fever? And that's how come it was picked. Because it makes sense. I mean, you diagnose what is common. So Marburg is not common in Ghana. So a clinician will look for common things. So that's why they were thinking of an upper GI bleeding until the second death. Okay. And let me also use the opportunity to say that we sent an alert, and the alert has been good. I think that the clinicians are looking for it. They have gotten a few suspected cases, not from there, that have come out as negative. It tells you that clinicians are looking for hemorrhagic fevers that we diagnose. Yellow fever is one of them. So it's not that we have a group of them, Lassa, Marburg, EBD, Congo Crimean. They are all they belong to that group called hemorrhagic fevers. What is also I want to talk about is that we had 98 contacts. Now the contacts are into two groups. There's a group that was in Ashanti region, so that they were 50. So technically they have gone through their maximum incubation period of 21 days. So technically they have been discharged. Now we are looking to the one in Solar. So hopefully I think they will be discharged tomorrow, because they would have also gone through the 21 days of monitoring. So we are still looking, but let me say that what we are doing now is merely trying to identify as many contacts as possible. So we keep on asking questions, probing to see whether there are areas that the cases would have gone to that we missed. And so that's what we keep on combing. So we keep on combing. So if you see any more contacts, it's because we are exploring more.
Right.
We want to be sure that we break the transmission.
Right, Doc. So these two persons who unfortunately lost their lives, do we know how they contracted the virus?
No, for now, the source of the infection is not known, because there's a history of the first one coming from Western region. We are trying to go further down to that community. There's nobody there who is sick, but what we are trying to do is that all persons in that small community made of hamlets will also bring them on board as contacts. You see, if you look at the disease transmission or spread, is zoonotic in nature. So it could be from an animal to any of these persons, or could be from another person. For now, we keep on exploring. Hopefully, we'll get it. If not, what we try to do is to make sure we cut off the risk factors. So risk factors is either you are getting exposed to the infected animal, which was said by Michael. The main reservoir is a bat. So that you see, it's not just eating the bat, which is a challenge. It's a contact.
All right, Doc. Okay, so
it's a hamlet.
All right, sure. So these two people, they aren't related. They are not from the same community. They never had contact with one another.
No, they are from two separate districts. One is from the Kwai municipal, the other one is from Artisan North. But they all went to the same hospital in Artisan North. So, and so far, we are not sure of any means that they came into contact. I mean, they are dead. So we cannot be able to ascertain whether they came into contact one way or another. But for now, it's difficult to establish that. All we know is that they all came to the same facility 2 days apart.
All right, Doc. And the other thing is the point of contact you just mentioned. So we know with COVID, for example, we were told to continuously wash our hands, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your mouth, don't touch your nose. Is it the same? Does this virus transmit via these entry points, or once it contacts your body, you're likely to get infected?
Yes, I think that the effectiveness of the infection it varies. But you see, what is somehow to me, which is good, is this one: you get an infection when the person is symptomatic. It's all like COVID-19. The person could be infectious but asymptomatic and spread it. So that is there's a big difference here. So in that case, the person might be showing signs and symptoms, maybe having a fever, or maybe having diarrhea, or maybe having the bleeding. And then when you are to contact, either by physical contact or by contact of the secretions, so be it blood or whatever from the body, when it gets into your skin, then or the mucous membranes, they can get it. So that's mainly the main root of infection.
Does it include sweat? Or it?
Yes, but it's minimal.
Okay.
So I think that the highest concentration is in blood.
Okay.
And, but there are other, so far as any secretion comes from your body, you may get it.
All right, Doc, let's wrap up the conversation quickly. Before we started, we spoke to some people who say they have no clue what this is about. Unfortunately, we have not received as much education on this as we did with COVID, even though this has a higher fatality rate. Just tell us briefly what the service is doing in terms of education, and besides contact tracing, what you're doing to prevent the spread of this virus.
Thank you very much. So I think that for now, the outbreak is more of a local or localized outbreak. So the intervention tends to vary. So you have to have a higher dose at the area affected as opposed to the whole country. So the concentration has been more to the affected areas where we are focusing more on the risk communication. But we are not going to expand so that the other parts of the country has information. What we've done is to have general press releases and general alerts, but the concentration has been to those affected regions. If you look at let's say the EVD of 2014, it was more of a pandemic. So we realize the approach is a bit different. It's all about the world, all about countries exposed. So when you are dosing the information, it's across board. This one, you try to segregate it and concentrate more on where you have the infection. So our main goal is containment at source, so that we don't want to spill over to other districts. We have had a lot of, we are actually doing this response with our partners. And the issues about risk communication is going to be rolled up to the nation so that people in Accra, Takoradi hear about it. But we also want to make sure that the issues about case management is well enhanced. We are waiting on the COVID-19. We train a lot of clinicians in the COVID-19, monkeypox, and so we are making use of it. Try to make sure that we have isolation places, EMR. So assuming we get cases outside, that's where they'll be managed. So basically, those are the key things that we will be doing as a service whilst we try to expand the miscommunication.
Finally, Doc, I witnessed at the Kumasi airport some officials of the Ghana Health Service stationed at the entrance, and they had computers in front of them, and it appeared that when people walked right in front of it, they could tell by color coding. I'm not sure what it is, whether it was temperature. What exactly is happening? Why are these people at airports? Is it related to the Marburg outbreak?
No, it's a thermal scanner. So they're checking your temperature. But instead of using the dark gun,
sure.
Well, as you go through it, the temperature is detected. So you can see. So if, let's say, your temperature is like 38, to flash red, you'll set you outside. So the thermal scanner.
Okay, and is this going to be constant? Are we going to have this happening at our airports?
This has been there, not because of Marburg. It's been, I think for now, we have it in almost all the airports. It's a way of monitoring temperature of passengers.
I'm grateful for your time this morning. Dr. Franklin Isidu-Bekwe is Public Health Director at the Ghana Health Service, and we've been talking about the Marburg virus. So you stay safe, stick to the protocols, wash your hands. The good thing about this, as we've been told, is you need to come into contact with a symptomatic person. So when you're dealing with sick relatives or sick friends, be extra careful. Well, shortly, Benjamin will be coming up with our guests to have a wide range of conversation on what's been happening in the country. The Afrobarometer report, 87% of respondents saying Ghana is heading in the wrong direction. We'll also be talking about what's been happening in Parliament. And as you may be aware, Communication Minister Esla Owufu-Ekufu, we are told, has not come to respond to questions, and this has happened for more than 5 times. Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak is upset about it. We'll be having our guests and Benjamin Akakpo with that conversation shortly. To stay.
Welcome back on the AM show. We've been talking about the Marburg virus. We all ought to be cautious about that and stay safe, because this is a nasty business, this virus. It's like Ebola cube. But from there, let's rein in and talk about some politics-related matters, political matters of national scope. We're going to be looking at the latest Afrobarometer report, which suggests that 87% of respondents feel the country is headed in the wrong direction. 85% feel the handling of the economy is piss poor, and there's a lot more. These are record figures we're seeing in quite a while. 72% say their conditions, personal conditions of living, are fairly bad or very bad. This is comparatively to just 3 years ago, 2019. We'll also be looking at the Communications Minister, Ursula Wusu-Ekufo, and her failure to appear in Parliament time and again, among other matters. Our guest this morning, Roxton Nelson Dafiamekbo. He is Member of Parliament for South Dine constituency. He also is a member of the NDC and a member of the Constitutional, Legal Affairs and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. He also is with the Public Accounts, or is it Public Affairs Committee? Right. And Standing Orders of Parliament. Roxton, thank you very much for joining the conversation.
It's my pleasure to be here. Let me use the opportunity to say good morning to my constituents in Peki, Bali, Preventongo. Dega, good morning.
Okay, so that was a rather succinct one. Let me just issue this disclaimer. We reached out to the other side. We have two major sides as far as our politics is concerned. I'm not demeaning the other political parties, but we reached out to the New Patriotic Party. We did not get a representative. Let me make that clear so it doesn't appear we are on any tangents. We reached out, and this is what we had. But we'll also try to get some governance people to respond to some of the areas that we're going to be looking at. But let's start the conversation very quickly on... I'll start with other matters before we get into the Afrobarometer report and also look at Communications Minister Ursula Wusu-Ekufo. Let's start with the Asumdwe Park. You followed the developments there.
Yes, sir.
Kwaku Anyidoho, your former Deputy General Secretary, was referred to yesterday by Samuel Atta Mills as a buffoon. And he responded by saying that, Samuel Atta Mills should produce the autopsy report of his late brother, our former president, among other things, also saying that he will not set foot, he will not allow the former president, John Dramani Mahama, and even Samuel Atta Mills to set foot at the Asumdwe Park. But I'm asking myself, why should this even be an issue? For those of you who know the background, so Asumdwe Park, former president laid to rest there. The accusation that former president John Dramani Mahama did nothing about the park and that current president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came and set it up and everything is kosher now. But the Atta Mills Institute, there's a bit of a dispute there because Kwaku Anyidoho had his in place. The NDC circumvented that, created their own. So now there's an official, center for Atta Mills, and that is not the one, funded or supported by Kwaku Anyidoho, who has been expelled from the NDC in the first place. And the family subscribes to the one from the NDC. So that's a bit of a background to it. But how did we get here?
Now, thank you very much. I'm extremely happy that you brought this matter up. Look, it is never correct that President Mahama did nothing about the Asumdwe Park. Indeed, who created the Asumdwe Park?
Right.
He did. He buried President Mills there with the intention that that could become the
Kwaku says he left it to become...
No, hold on.
Basically a dump.
No, hold on. That is what I want to debunk. He created the park and buried President Mills there. And you will see, if you know the park, I have been to the park so many times. There are designs for if in the event that we lose some other senior politicians and statesmen, they could also be buried there. Now, the man left office in January 2017, and another man assumes power. The castle grounds is a security enclave. So the duty of the entity that is supposed to take very good care of the grounds, including design and manicure and keeping it in a good ambience, lies with the castle management team. And the castle is an annex of the office of the president. So how do you expect President Mahama to still be in charge of maintenance of Asumdwe Park? That reasoning, it's so illogical. So that fallacy must be exposed. 2, it is also not correct that in establishing the foundation in memory of President Mills, we ignore what Kokwanyido created. Can I get up today and establish a foundation in memory of President Rawlings without any recourse to the family? Can I, as a private citizen, do that? Can I today set up any foundation in memory of President Nkrumah without any recourse to the family of President Nkrumah?
Right.
It's not possible. So so I think that what Kwaku is doing is rather a busybody. If you get up and set up a foundation under a president under whom you worked without recourse to the family, you are being a busybody. There are laws and cultural values in this country. You can't do that. 3rd, how come that we decide to remodel whatever it is, the Asumdwe Park, to the extent that it is affecting the nature and character of the grave and tombstone of
what proof do you have in
I have photographs.
respect? Because as far as the tombstone, he is saying that it was just a piece of wood, his words, covering the place. And in other words, it wasn't dignifying of our former head of state, and that now they're going to use granite and other things to give him something befitting. And that, yesterday when Samuel Atta Mills suggested that maybe the body of the late president had been, so to speak, exhumed or moved, he asked him where the evidence was, and that nothing of that nature had happened.
You see, you can deny matters when queries are raised. But the question is, why do you undertake anything that affects the nature and character of the tomb without recourse to the family and the children?
That has been raised.
Yes.
Proper procedure.
Yes, but,
I was speaking this morning to Dr. Kwame Asaka.
Yes, I heard you. I heard you. And I'm saying, if anybody says that the existing grave is not made of marble stone, it's a big lie. Because when President Mills was buried, I was around. When other annual events were undertaken by the party and other family members, and we visited the park, I went. So I saw how the grave was designed prior to now. In fact,
how the grave was designed, was it befitting of our?
It was befitting. How else do you want a grave of a former president to be designed? The man lived a very modest life, even when he was occupying the high office of the president.
So when it was when it was overgrown with weeds and all of that, was
it was the duty
of a former president?
No, it was the duty of the current president to maintain the gardens. I have made that point. No person can get up and go and clear Asumdwe Gardens without recourse to the castle security. How does anybody expect that you can get up and go to Asumdwe with a cutlass to go and clear without having clearance from the national security or security apparatus of the office of the president?
So when Koku blames the former president, is he just embarking on a wild goose chase?
Koku has no basis. The kind of comments, like he's my brother, but the kind of comments he's making and continue to make about this matter, it's so fallacious. Now, I also doubt very much that Coastal Development Authority.
Right, and I was about to get there, yes, because of the authorization.
Yes.
The Coastal Development Authority is in the thick of things, and Kokwanyido has been commending the current president, for example, for his role in all of that. But now that this has come to the fore, people are also condemning the presidency, because guess what? If anything was done, it was done on the blind side of the family, and they're accusing both Koda and the presidency.
And let me make this point.
Is that correct?
Hold on.
Is that justified?
I want to make this point. I would dare anybody to go and take the contract that Koda would have awarded to any organization to improve the ambience of Asumdwe Park, including the grave. I don't think Koda would have done that. Koda would have been interested in improving the ambience, in improving the infrastructure, maybe building other structures that when people visit, they could utilize, but not to touch the nature and character of the tombstone. Koda would never do that. So we have a problem. And the photographs I saw that Neil and Vanapo and Co went to take yesterday, you can't, that amounts
so paint
to
a
like,
picture for us from the pictures you've seen. Paint a picture for us, and maybe you can share with us.
Look, they are adding, like he said, they are practically adding some mortar and other things to the shape of the grave, and in an attempt to improve its shape and look. I don't know what that means.
What do you think the motive could be? Embarking on this exercise because we are now coming to know about this. So the media wasn't in the know, ordinary Ghanaians weren't in the know, and maybe we can be sidelined. But how about the family not being in the know? How do you feel about that?
There's been a banter between the family and Koko and for the past 10 years about this matter. If you follow this issue critically,
right?
Every year when it's about the anniversary time, there's some banter. And this autopsy, reproduction of autopsy report, this is not the first time.
Well.
No, you've already asked.
He's constantly been saying that use the autopsy report. Why can't we do that?
But the autopsy report is a medical report.
But so, especially as these aspersions are being cast by... there are times when he's gone... I can go to his page on Twitter and read for you. I see a lot of messages come up, and he's often talking about, and I dare the former President Mahama, and I dare the former President Mahama.
You see,
why don't you just get this albatross off of your neck?
The death of the former president is a matter of confidentiality for the state. The President Mahama is no longer in office.
Confidentiality, even if allegedly, when people allege foul play, people are alleging foul play.
See, you journalists, when people allege some of these things, interrogate the matter. This is a medical record.
That is why
we are doing.
He who alleges must prove.
Yes.
We do that, but you on the other end, you are in pole position now to disabuse the minds of people when it comes to what the reality is.
Which I'm doing. So I'm stating the fact that the death certificate or the reasons why former President Mills died, it's a matter of medical confidentiality. But it's also a matter of state secrecy. So if the president is willing to release those records, he has the power to do so. The former president died in office. So nothing about his death is hidden from the office of the president. And not just the office of the president, but an occupant of the office of the president. President Mahama is not in office. So if Koku Anyido is making an allegation, he should direct the allegation to the office of the president. That he has these other issues. So he is daring the office of the president to release those records and let us all interrogate it. In any case, the family has been saying that they've gone through so much trauma. It's 10 years. They want to move on. And you keep digging. Every time Koku Anyido will dig about the posthumous, the pathology report of the president.
Is that a problem for the NDC?
It's not a problem. The NDC hasn't... I don't think the NDC has waded into this matter, but the banter has actually been between Kweku and the close family members of the president.
Was it necessary for you to create another Atta Mills Institute when Koku had already created one?
Why is Kweku the NDC? Kweku is not the NDC. So if the NDC as an entity, NDC as a political organization wants to honor the memory of one of its illustrious sons who rose through the ranks to become its president, flag bearer, and president of the Republic of Ghana, because Kweku Anyido has created some roadside foundation? No.
You call it a roadside?
It's a roadside foundation. What is it doing?
But prior to your creating, I'll be moving on to talk.
What is it doing with it?
A health-related matter before I come to you. But he had been doing this for quite a while before you came up with the Atta Mills Institute, your version of it, and you call his a roadside.
I take offense to the fact that you keep saying that our version of it.
No, because there are two versions now. There are two different establishments.
What is the capacity, the local standard?
Right now, if there were an event, and he would come with his own portfolio. If you ask the questions,
allow me.
I get you.
Allow me to respond.
He would come with his own portfolio in terms of, this is the Atta Mills Institute, and you would come with yours.
If you ask the question, allow me to respond. What is the local standard of Kokwanyidohu in establishing a foundation in memory of Professor Atta Mills?
He served under him.
How many?
You know the capacity in which
I am saying 5,000 other appointees served under Professor Mills as the head of state.
He was a close confidant of the former president.
How close is he? Because he was presidential spokesperson?
Right.
Well, is that it? What about the brother who follows Professor Atta Mills? What should he do?
Atta Mills, right.
What should he do?
So it appears Kwaku is trying more than the Bereaved.
Thank you. Kwaku has no locus to even establish a foundation.
Let me quickly ask you this. Do you think Kwaku is being used? Is he being used?
I don't know. And I don't want to venture into that. But I think that he's running himself into problems.
Okay.
You served under the president at his behest. You serve in a certain capacity. The man died in office. And since then, that has ended his political career. So what is this business of trying to own the memory, the heritage of Professor Mills? To what end?
All right. Just hold it there for me. Let me bring in Honorable Nanayao Efrie, Chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament. And we are veering into a slightly different aspect of the conversation. Honorable Dr. Nanayo Efrie, who joins the conversation. He is chairman of the Health Committee. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Hello, Doc. If you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you. Thank you so much for your time.
May I correct this? I've seen this on Joy Online. I've heard this on Joy News. I've corrected you ever. And nowadays, they have introduced Yao into my name.
Right.
And that started from Joy. And I told you that then I was not happy. And now everywhere I go, they introduce me as Nana Yao Eyu. No, I don't have any Yao in my name. And in fact, I'm Kwame. It is Nana Eyu Efie. I am never called Yao.
Just to get the correction correctly.
Yes, it started with Joy.
Is it
and that day that you did that, and it was also on Joy Online. Ever since 1 year, I've always been called Yao everywhere I go. I don't want that. I'm never Yao.
Okay, so
it's not my name.
What is the correct version again?
Nana Eyu Efie. Nana Eyu Efie. Eyu is an Equiapim name. Ewa EW from Mampo Equiapim. Okay, I'm from Mampo Equiapim and I'm from Ashanti. As my mom is from Ashanti. I beg you, that AU name is from Mampo Equiapim. As it is, it should remain AU. I'm never Yao. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I nearly added you to my own birthday, being a Thursday born. But thank you very much for that correction. Dr. Nana AU Efrie. That's correct, right?
Thank you.
Okay. He is Member of Parliament for Ifidiase Asokore. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. There's been this latest development in respect of a pregnant woman who, needed critical care, did not get that care, and the ambulance service was requesting, a sum of money, some 600 cedis upwards. Parliament has had a look at that entire situation, the Speaker directing on a number of issues. But how did we get here? Because I've heard Professor Zakaria, speak to the matters, and he says, look, we are field for accident-related matters. Anything outside of that usually is an impediment for us, and people would be compelled to do what we did in that instance. Have people cough up money to fill ambulances so they can get critical health care. How did we end up here?
Yeah, thank you very much, and a very good morning to your listeners. I think it's not right because the auditors work on ambulance service, catalog a lot of such irregularities.
Doc, if you could speak up a little for me. I'm struggling a bit to hear you.
The law is not allowing them to charge. okay? And we have realized that various audit reports actually shows charges from various parts of the countries and ongoing. So we made him speak to it, and he also admitted for 16 years that he's been a CEO of the ambulance service, charges have been going on for the past 16 years. So we told him that this is an opportunity for us to correct the wrong, because the objective of their act does not say you should go and charge in issues as this. You understand? And so, if we want to right the wrong, then we must also encourage allocation of resources to the ambulance service, which we can look forward to it at the National Health Insurance Scheme. In this case, we must be able to change the policy to allow for emergency cases or even premium payees or those who are enjoying the scheme to include the services of ambulance care. And this is something that we are going to discuss with the Ministry of Health, that yes, for something to be there 16 years, of which he has admitted that it has been over the past 16 years, he didn't tell a lie on it. My committee is not going to superintend over the emotions over the issues. I am keen about the solutions to the issues. So it is not right. And it is purely not right. We don't have to encourage it. In fact, it has to be condemned. And then we must find solutions through policy. And
go ahead.
As a people, you must pay a little more to enjoy such services in terms of emergency.
Okay, so you're saying as a people we must pay a little more to enjoy such emergency services.
I mean, whatever it is, if we have to pay more in terms of upward adjustment of the premium,
national
if we
insurance
have to pay
premium.
less, if we have to just add it to the services, whatever it is, for me, as a group who is supposed to meet the ministry next week, Thursday, our interest that we will discuss also in Parliament at plenary will be that we recommend that they should have an inclusion of ambulance services use in the National Health Insurance Scheme. And in this case, I asked them, and they thought it was a good idea. So they would have credit arrangements with all the fuel stations. So what will mean is that, yes, we owe you, but the scheme will pay us. So at any point in time, take care of our cars, so that this issue of fueling would just be, we will just nip it in the bud. We will take it off completely. But now they are not able to make arrangements with the fuel dams or the fuel stations. What they do is that in Takrady, or they made an arrangement to one Go station. And that one, it is not even formal. It is those in Western region who have just decided that, look, in times you should help us. And when the people don't help them, there's nothing they can do about it. But if they have proper money coming to them as providers, regardless of the delay, they can have proper arrangements with like Go or like Shell, any of them. And then at any point in time, their accounts will be fraud. And they can pay for it. And it will be safe for all of us.
It is interesting. You speak about, I mean, I'm thinking about so many things at the same time. We know there are some benefits, some freebies that our pregnant women get when they're going to deliver and all of that, and even prior to delivery, systems that we've put in place. I'm wondering whether it could come under that umbrella, because Augustina Awachi, who was only 31 years, would not have lost her life stuck in Fijai if she had got the right medical assistance. But playing maybe a quick reaction to that.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but just talking about the free maternal health care policy. But if you look at the auditor's report from between 2013 to especially 2021, you see that there have been series of similar deaths. Series. It is as if this one is what has brought our mind to just for us to do a longitudinal research and find. So as we were having our discussions, my members were showing us this year, look at it this year, there were similar things in Rara, like similar conveying patient death.
Definitely. If this has been going on for 16 years, I mean, we're talking now about Augustina. Only God knows how many more people have died.
Sorry?
I'm saying we're speaking now about Augustina, but if this has been going on for 16 years and likely over, only God knows how many people have died on account of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is why the committee is also going to recommend for us to do some sort of maternal mortality audit. So we'll be going to the regions and we'll be looking at those that are related to things about transport. Okay, things like this. And actually, the Ghana Health Service, on that day, they also acknowledge that that is going to be a very good thing for them. So we are interested in the solutions to the issue. So if we have to add it to the free maternal health care policy, so be it. If it's going to be NHI, so be it. The point is that somebody has to pay the money. But our system is saying that it need not be the Ghanaian in terms of the patient or the client. It must be a system or a policy that makes provision for it. So this is for us to have a discussion and decide which area it will be. But we need to find solutions for it. Because it is not only going to it is ongoing. We may never know what happened to somebody yesterday.
Right. Right. It could hit very close to home. But maybe to wrap the conversation with you, sir, I'd just like to find out, in the context of the economic situation we find ourselves in, and considering as well that this has taken us all by shock, how immediate is immediate? What is your committee going to push for in the immediate term? And hold on, because I have to make this point. Professor Zachariah makes this point that the NHIA every year allocates 10 million cedis to them. Right. There are some 297 stations. Okay. That gives you a sum per station of 33,670 Ghana cedis. Right. Which will be the total amount for each station per year. If you divide this 33,000 by 12, you get 2,806 for each station per month. 2,806 CDs. Look at an ambulance, the size of an ambulance. Look at its consumption. So it means that a lot of the time, they would be very constrained. In the immediate term, what is your committee going to push for?
So that is exactly the reason why I was able to say, I'm sure if your recordings captured it, you saw I made I advised them that yes, the power of my committee in terms of health is not to increase the charges on the consolidated fund, but then also to be able to also reduce it is a prudent measure, and the law allows me to do my work this way. So we told them that, look, going forward, the NHIA formula allocation to ambulance service to take care of fueling, we want you to up it. And if you don't up it, we will find means to frustrate you towards approval of the budget target. And I asked the Ministry of Health, should we strike a deal so that there's a trade-off? And they also agreed that it is emergent, and they are going to make sure that there is going to be provision in that will increase them from the 10 million. And actually, I've called Professor for a meeting. I sent him a text yesterday, and he's waiting to have a meeting with us so that we can commence modalities, okay? And nonetheless, if there's going to be some reserve fund somewhere, okay, some other means to which we can be able to shore their funds up. And not only shoring their funds up, also releasing to them on time.
Right.
Because we were even asking them about the timely releases of it. You was being cautious because definitely the civil servant. Look, but I'm not here to cover anybody. I'm here to do my work for the people. So we also want the timeliness of it, the release. So I will be very happy if you can let us talk about it, like, if not for a week. If not for a week.
Okay. Doc, we're grateful that you took the time to join us on this conversation.
Yeah, if not for a week. If you follow up for like 2 weeks, let's do a serial communication on this issue, okay?
Sure.
So that we can bring meaning to the work we have done. And not just mere talk. I think it's so emotional as a medical doctor. I'm not comfortable with it. My previous position, I'm not comfortable with it. And I think something can be done. And this is a time we need to get something done for the sake of posterity. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your quick thoughts on this matter. We're very grateful, sir.
All right.
And that has been Dr. Nana Ayu Efriye, Member of Parliament for Ifiduase Asokore. He also is chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament. Quick thoughts.
Yes. First of all, listening to the chairman of the Health Committee made me sad.
How so?
Because we have a parliamentary enactment governing the operations of the National Ambulance Service, which is the National Ambulance Act 2020, Act 1041. Now, if you go to Section 15 of the law. It tells you the functions of the service, what they should do, very clearly stated. If you go to Section 13 of the law, it tells you the establishment of a National Ambulance Service Advisory Council with representatives from a lot of health-related agencies. Aside from that, Section 26 speaks of the funds of the service. Money is given by Parliament. They're also supposed to get money from the National Insurance Commission from the sale of stickers, that is roadworthy stickers and insurance stickers. Then they're also supposed to get money from NHIA formula that the chairman alluded to. They're also supposed to get money from donations. And again, they are supposed to get money from the Minister of Finance annually.
Is all of this happening?
Exactly my point.
Because they speak about, Zachariah speaks about NHI giving them 10 million per year. So
yes, and that is NHI alone. What about National Insurance Commission?
And that is it.
What about National Insurance Commission? This year, Parliament approved some amount of money under the budget of the Ministry of Health.
What happened?
Yeah, so when they're interrogating and investigating this particular complaint, I was hoping that they would have recourse to the law to look at what exactly is happening. Under Section 33 of the law, it is an offense for anybody to charge fees.
Right.
From the public.
So we acknowledge that as a fact, but under the constraints.
No, it's an offense.
And else they would have to say, we can't give you
an ambulance. That is why you have a chief executive. So if there are budgetary constraints, you raise the matter. Because
it doesn't appear Prof has not been raising this.
But the law forbids it. So we shouldn't say that it's happening. The law that sets the ambulance service up, it forbids you charging the public money before you render service.
So Prof and his people are in error, clearly.
They're in error.
Right.
And indeed, the law says that if you are found guilty, you could and if you are convicted somewhere by a court of law, you can suffer between 250 to 1,000 penalty units.
What's the equivalent of that in terms of?
That's 12 Ghana cedis per one penalty unit.
Wow.
So do the calculation. You could also be imprisoned for between 1 year to 3 years. You could also suffer both. So the law setting up the ambulance service is very clear. I was hoping that the committee would make very serious recommendations for the criminal prosecution of these people.
So the 250 penalty units would sum up to 3,000 Ghana cedis.
Exactly, and that's the minimum. And 1,000 penalty units will tell you that's about 12,000.
So that will be 4 times of that, which is 12,000.
Exactly. That's how much, if you are found guilty for taking a pesewa from any person to render ambulance service, and you are found guilty, that's how much you suffer. So the chairman of the committee shouldn't encourage things like it's happening.
Are you disappointed in what the chairman was saying?
Because it appears that they haven't looked at the law. If they look at the law, they will never countenance these things. They would have just recommended straightly.
You're telling me that the chairman of the health committee, who just spoke to me, by the way, and you know, maybe he's not so familiar with what the law says in terms of the provision of funds for.
A complaint was made. If I recall, a member of that constituency raised the matter on the floor in a statement. And Speaker, after the debate, referred the matter for further investigations by the Health Committee. So I was hoping that the Health Committee will have recourse to the Act of Parliament establishing the ambulance service and see whether the conduct being complained is something that is that the Act countenances. If it is not, it's an outright illegality. That the law says that it should be criminally prosecutable. That's my point. Look, my brother, if we don't ask public servants to comply with the law, we will run ourselves into these problems. That is why the chief executive is supposed to be reporting annually on their operations. What is the 2021 annual report on the ambulance service? Have they complained about money? The monies they are supposed to get from National Insurance Commission, are they getting it for purposes of their operations? So, I feel sad. I feel sad because when you go to Southern, for instance, the ambulance service, every time they must call the MP for some one help or the other.
I was about to ask you, do you often have to step into?
Yes.
You remember the situation where Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa had to step in? I think a child.
Yes.
And all of that.
As
Eventually, that also led to another.
If there are ties, if there are problems with ties, they call the MP. If they have sometimes fuel, all those things. But you see, the concept of
who calls you?
Oh, it's the officers.
The ambulance service?
Yes, including fire service, they all help, they all call for help. So, but the point I'm making is that the concept of an ambulance service is a concept that is embedded in rendering medical services under emergency situations. Anybody under emergency situation seeking medical attention, you cannot be using an economic bar to prevent him from seeking that medical attention. Otherwise, the person will die. That is why, under our traffic regulations, ambulance is one of the vehicles that is permitted to use a siren and drive through traffic without hindrance.
Do you know what I'm thinking of? Even in light of this Marburg virus that we speak of, which is highly, deadly, contagious as well. I'm just imagining. I mean, sometimes you must think outside of the box. A situation where someone, you have to quarantine and all of that. We will need ambulance service.
Exactly.
How are we going to go about it? Maybe in the meantime, other people get infected because of improper handling of whoever has likely contracted the virus. If later it turns out to be true, look at the risk involved.
And my worry is, what is the board of the ambulance, the advisory board saying? What has been their role? Because they have clear functions in the law. People just serve in these bodies and take allowances and do nothing.
So what would you like to see, to wrap on this specific end? What would you like to see in the immediate term?
Yes, in the immediate term, I want the health committee to recommend criminal prosecution of this person who engaged in this.
So what? The ambulance service operatives who
because the law says that is what should happen.
Okay.
Don't take money from the public before you render ambulance service. And I also expect the chief executive to resign. You can't come to parliament and say that you've been doing this for 15 years when the law says you cannot.
16, actually.
He himself should resign. Because it means he's breached the law for all these years. Why? Ambulance is to render a service under emergency situation, medical attention. And you're asking for money.
I see this has left you very distraught, and all of us definitely.
Because I was very instrumental when we were crafting this law.
Oh, I see.
Initially, they say it was established under a policy and administrative policy. So we decided to set it up with an act of parliament.
Right.
Give you clear provisions.
So as part of the framers, you feel very...
I feel very slighted that things that we say don't do, you go and do it. So then why did we spend money to buy over 300 ambulances for all the districts in this country? Why?
But there are problems with the purchase of those ambulances.
That is why you are a chief executive.
In fact, that is a situation that is currently pending the Dr. Castle.
But that is why we have a chief executive. As part of your functions, you must administer the entity purposefully.
Okay. Let's get past that issue. I want us to look at two crucial issues before we look at any add-ons. There's a latest Afro Barometer report, and it makes for some very interesting reading. So it tells us that some 87% of Ghanaians feel the country is not headed in the right direction. About 85% of them feel that when it comes to the economy, the handling of it is also not going in the right direction. And that makes it about 9 out of 10, almost 9 out of 10 who are saying the country is not headed in the right direction. And that is a 24 percentage point increment from just 3 years ago in 2019. You also look at the figures when it says 85% describe the country's economic situation as dire, fairly bad, or very bad, up from 62% recorded in 2019. 72% say their personal living conditions are fairly bad or very bad, and that too is up from 58%. So when you look at the reading, this latest Afro Barometer report, it clearly shows that public sentiment, as far as the report is concerned, are not positive at all. We'll get into some of the details. The sample size, 2,400, and of course, I've forgotten the exact terminology, but plus or minus 2 percentage points in terms of, yes, the margin
of error,
and the sampling done across the country. But what is your reaction to this? As you can see on your screens, that first one there, figure 1, the question is posed, is the country going in the right direction? And you would see the green line reflects those saying the country is headed in the right direction. The red line shows those suggesting the country is headed in the wrong direction. Now look at the trajectory, 2012 to 2022. You would see that in 2012, an electoral year, those who felt the country was going in the right direction were 39% per the survey. Wrong direction, 61% in that same year. In 2014, it was 15%. That was quite a low, but not the lowest we've seen. And then those who felt wrong direction, 85%. In 2017, guess what? It came to 50-50. And this was just after election 2016. But then again, the story started unraveling, because in 2019, it fell in terms of approval ratings, going down to 35%, 59% saying the country was headed in the wrong direction. And in the following the one conducted in 2022, 11% are saying the country is headed in the right direction, while 87% say it is not headed in the right direction. So that is the tail of the tape as far as this chart is concerned. There are more that will be coming your way with. And you can see from here as well a summary of the picture. So looking at it, economic conditions compared to 12 months ago and economic conditions in 12 months' time. When you look at the first chart, 20% feel we're doing better or much better, Roxanne. 9% feel we are pretty much at the same levels, and 70% feel we are worse or much worse. In terms of economic conditions, 25% feel we're better or much better. That is in 12 months' time. 18% feel we're practically at the same level. 50% feel come another year, things are going to be worse. What is your quick take on this latest Afrobarometer survey? Reflective, first of all, of the reality?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sure if some of us have said this, they would have said we're speaking as opposition members, or opposition members of the.
You are an opposition member,
yes,
anyway.
We are, but when you analyze the extremely high, atrocious cost of living standards, you explain the matters, you are branded as an opposition. But I'm very glad that the Afrobarometer report has confirmed the situation. Indeed, some even think that there are pockets of communities or areas in this country where the figures are extremely, in fact, higher than the average being painted. Look, I have a contractor friend. In January this year, he was buying a liter of diesel at, I think, 9 cedis. 9 cedis. Now it is nearly 14 cedis. So he tells me
at least there have been some slight decrements in recent times, but it's still high.
It's teetering around 14, 13.9, 13.7, depending on the station you are buying. So he tells me that for every liter of diesel that he used to purchase in January, just this year, 6 months ago, now he needs about 6 cedis more to be able to buy that. Or
per liter?
Per liter.
Right.
Or 5 cedis more to be able to buy that.
Because yes, 9 to about 14.
Yes.
So that's the difference.
So the cost of fuel alone has added to their cost build-up for the kind of constructional works they do by about 30 to 40%. unanticipated. And you know, for any economy, it is transportation that drives the economy. The people must move. It's mobility of goods and services that drives the economy. So if the people are not mobile in the economy will stagnate. Okay? So the cost of fuel alone has affected cost of living so much that persons who transport foodstuff from the hinterland to the peri-urban and urban areas now have had to practically double their prices. You get to Germany, for instance, the cost of premix, okay, and I'll use the Kufuor gallon. They used to buy Kufuor gallon 80 cedis just about December last year. Now it is 240 to 300 cedis. You may not even get it. And why am I speaking about premix? Because this is the fuel that the Arbor motor owners use to bring foodstuff from the front plains to Germany so that my people in South Dine can get. They bring it to Quebec so my people in South Dine can get. The fishermen. Because they also have fishing communities. Exactly, the fishermen. And because of its scarcity, they are not even able to go fish as frequently as before. And this will lead to shortages. And when shortages occur, prices will go up. These are very simple, basic economic matrices that is playing out. So when people complain that the economy is not in the right direction, they are right. But I'm shocked about the percentages.
Just look at your screen.
Yes,
I mean,
I'm shocked. Yes,
those who feel evaluation of government's economic performance, you would see that all the yellows are performance. Those who think it is fairly well or very well, and all the red or close to red shade are those who feel government is performing fairly badly or very badly. Now look at the different dynamics. Managing the economy, 82%, faring badly. Creating jobs, 83%, improving the living standards of the poor. And now we have LEAP people who have not been paid for 6 months, 85%, narrowing the income gap, 92%, keeping prices stable. All these people, 94%, feel government is performing fairly badly or very badly in all these aspects.
In statistics, we call all these figures in the upper quartile. All the percentages we are seeing are all in the upper quartile. Very, very high. Look, government expenditure is still very high. Government is still living large. We are hoping that government will cut down on its size. Government has 2, 3, 4 deputy chief executives in places. Look, if you read the recent State Enterprises Agency report on state enterprises, nearly 90% of the enterprises are making losses, very heavy losses. But check their reports to Parliament, their annual performance reports.
Right.
They've all increased.
Yeah.
You know, the expenditures are towards human resources and all that. If you interrogate the matter, they are employing more. I am not saying they shouldn't employ. But the level of employment must be commensurate with performance, output.
You can even look at the perks they are giving.
Yes, but you are making losses.
There, top officers,
yes,
especially when you're incurring losses.
Yes, you are incurring heavy losses, and you are recruiting. So the personnel are not contributing towards the. And this is basic economics. Okay. Recently, we've increased licensing fees. Public services that people patronize. We've increased the fees by between 20 to 25 to 30% on the average. So if you want a death certificate or a birth certificate for a child born or for a case of a mortality reported, you'll be paying 30% more for a death certificate or a birth certificate. All right? PURC intends to increase the prices of utilities. They just came to Parliament. So things are extremely difficult for people. I heard you this morning where persons have parked their vehicles and they are taking Uber.
I know people who tell me, look, it's no longer cost efficient for me, looking at the nature of the vehicle I have, to use maybe my 4x4, my V6 or V8 or whatever. So it's more cost efficient for me to board the trotro. And that could be that is the reality of some people.
I agree with you. And look, in sometime March, April, if you see traffic in town, sometimes you feel like getting down and walking to wherever you are going. But check the traffic situation in town. Traffic is flowing. It meant that a lot more persons have parked their vehicles. And it struck me this morning when I was early in the morning around 6 a.m., 5:30, when you do that very early morning analysis and interview people on the news. And I saw that this is happening. And when your reporter went to Tema to speak about the patronage of the train service, you saw the reaction of people.
So for you, I just wanted to wrap with two quick points. But for you, this is very reflective of
It's very reflective.
It's very reflective.
Very, very reflective. It's even the average.
So maybe a good thing to ponder that government is going for this $1 billion syndicated loan. Maybe you should be supporting them so that it can ease some of the pressure. Very quickly, maybe some.
We are supporting government. But let me say this. As part of the purposes, government recently took 75 million euros. Do you know what they said they will use it for? To buy PPE materials. They are not saying they are building a hospital to generate revenue. On consumables, government is taking $750 million. Go and see the kind of things they want to apply it to.
What PPE are we buying again?
Thank you. What PPE are we buying again?
No, I'm asking you. You're a member of parliament.
Yes, we are asking them.
What PPE are we buying?
Including holding training sessions.
Holding training sessions?
Training sessions.
For what exactly?
Thank you. For what exactly? Improving the standards of frontline health staff. All those things. 75 million euros. I'll send you the purpose for which they've taken that loan. So when government is procuring more loan facilities just to apply them to unnecessaries, it's a bother. They want to apply as part of the $750 million.
Final point on that.
Yes, they want to apply as much as in excess of 100 million to host some African games. Hosting African games. Flower pot project that has been completed. Government indicates as part of this facility that they want to apply some of this facility. They have to come and clarify that project. We gave some money to Ministry of Youth and Sports, I think towards building some stadia. Parliament approved it. They said they couldn't draw down that loan from Car Bank. So they've come back to Parliament to say that as part of this 750, they'll use part of that money. But if we approve a facility for you and you couldn't draw down on it, you need to come back to Parliament to report. You don't take another facility and divert part of it to apply for that project. So this is the worry of the minority in respect of this $750 million.
As we've heard, as of yesterday, it appears there's some positive push. So is it inching towards?
No, we asked for the purpose.
Right.
And when they produce the purpose for which they are taking this facility, these are the details.
So still, the position of the minority is that you're not going to...
We will support government in these austere times. But government must be prudent. Government must be truthful to the people.
Okay, point made. Let's wrap the conversation on these two. I want you to focus more on the fact that Communications Minister Ursula Owusu-Ekufo has failed to show up in Parliament. She has been in Parliament to answer questions, but within the last period that we're looking at under review, she's not been able to attend to, when she's been called upon by the House, so to speak. I want you to address that, what the real issue is, why the minority feels aggrieved, and then I'll throw in, at the end, I want you to also add this bit, your thinking on this latest Global Info Analytics survey that positions former President Mahama, puts him in pole position in terms of whoever leads the MPP, especially the top two suggested or purported top two candidates. Bawumia, the vice president, Mahama is leading him by 58% to 31%. And then Alan Chamanting, it is 61% to 30%. I want you to talk about Esla Usu-Ekufo, and then in wrapping, just give me your thoughts on how reflective this latest survey by Global Info Analytics is. And then we'll wrap this conversation.
Thank you.
We don't have much time.
Yes,
so
Parliament, as part of exercising its oversight, uses question time to request ministers to come and account or brief Parliament on some projects or policy being implemented by the agency. And as part of our standing orders, if a question is filed and admitted, it must not take a minister more than 3 weeks. So we call it the 3 weeks rule to come and answer. The evidence will bear us out that even a minister of state at the office of the president, the office of the president, you can't bring the chief of staff to Parliament. So if there's a minister of state serving at the office of the presidency, you direct questions at him or her. The whole of the life of this 8th Parliament, the minister at the office of the president has refused to come to Parliament to answer questions. Questions that have been directed to, he keeps writing to Parliament that he wants to defer, he wants more time to come and answer. That's one instance. The matter in question that my chief whip raised is that the questions in reference, the ministry of the minister has always been writing to Parliament to defer. That was what egged his displeasure. That was what attracted the displeasure of the chief whip. That why is it that sometimes you come and sit in Parliament? Yes, you come and sit in Parliament, but your directors or senior public servants will be writing to Parliament asking for more time to enable you to come and answer these questions, when sometimes you come and sit and participate in debates. So that's why he said that he's happy that she herself was in the House, but the constant writing of letters to ask for more time by her senior public servants is causing disrespect.
What do you think the cause is? Because she must also be properly prepared before she comes before the House to answer any questions.
So why don't you come and say so?
But that is exactly what
there are a lot of questions. So all the 5 questions you need time. 5 questions touching on different sectors.
I mean, to be fair, if she comes to Parliament, you bombard her from on all aspects of.
She also bombards people when she was in opposition. When ministers were asking
so more reason for her to be prepared. It is not
about bombardment. It's about the fact that they are finding a very convenient means to avoid answering the questions.
You think she's avoiding accountability?
Of course, because it is not all the questions that you need time to come and answer. And these are not questions that were filed yesterday. Some of these questions are as old as 1 year. That is what is attracting the displeasure of the members.
Very quickly, just for the sake of our...
But I want to comment...
What are some of the
I want to commend 2 or 3 ministers. The Rules Minister, the Minister of Fisheries, the Honorable Peter Amewu, and a few others who constantly will come to attend to the House and answer questions. You see, where commendation is due, let's give it. So I want to commend these ministers who, whenever the questions are asked... In fact, Amewu came last week. We were doing consideration. We took his questions nearly at 5 p.m. He sat in the House patiently, participated in the business. Normally, questions times are in the morning. But the House told him that he has to abide.
Okay.
And he did. So when people are committed to accounting to Parliament, let's commend them. And when you come and sit in Parliament, but you won't come and answer your questions, we have to condemn you.
All right. The final bit about the survey.
Yes.
You have 1 minute.
Yes, it's good. As an NEC, we'll take it in good faith. We'll work on it.
I'm sure you're taking it because it's positive it's in your favor.
Nobody parries positives away from himself or herself. You must always welcome positive things and keep working to improve and attract more positives. And that's what we are doing. And we are winning 2024.
The MPP wants to break the 8. And you are here saying...
Even internally, they can't break the 8. How many of them broke the 8 internally last Saturday? That's an indication. Internally...
You mean the changes?
Internally, they can't even break 8. As for breaking there, it's a wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
It's wishful thinking. They are going home.
Thank you, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, Member of Parliament for South Danny, for joining the conversation.
It's my pleasure.
But coming up, a whole lot, we'll be heading to Swame for your Citizens Microphone as we talk about the situation there, where artisans are asking government to fix the deplorable roads in that enclave. We will also be talking to you about the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair and what you can expect ahead of the first clinic, which comes off this.
Can I make a small public announcement?
Right, go.
Yes, the EPSU, that's the EP Student Union of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church, they are holding their National Annual Congress at Peki Blango, that's the EP Seminary, on the 5th of August, Friday. We are inviting everyone to come and participate.
So you're a member of the EP Church?
Yes, I'm a member. And I used to be an EPSU member, University of Cape Coast.
I see.
Yes.
All right. So more on those issues I spoke about coming up next on the AM show with Bernice Abubeidu Lanza. Stay.
It's 15 minutes after 9. This is still the AM show. It's now time to have a conversation on the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, which is starting this weekend. Our first clinic is at the Chimoto Retail Center. Today, we're speaking to Duraplast. Emmanuel Oforientry is head of sales there. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I've heard about Duraplast. The first time I did, I can't remember, but I must have been a very little girl. Wherever water goes, wherever Duraplast goes, water flows. Yeah, that's the tagline that you've kept for years. But Duraplast is known for many things, but one of the most important products that you produce is the what we call the water tank, where to store water. And a lot of people, when building nowadays, consider that, because we know that there are a lot of underserved areas. This year, our theme is Where You Live Matters. Tell us how this plays into what Duraplast has to offer.
Okay, just like you said, the theme for this year's Habitat Fair is Where You Live Matters. I think to us also, where you store your water matters. You can't just store your water in any other tank, and at the end of the day, there will be bacteria and other things in your water. So where you store your water also matters. So we say water tank is the best to store water. It's the best way.
Why is it the best?
Water tank comes in 2 layers. Okay, we have the inner layer, which is white, and the outer, which is black. And these 2 layers play their roles. The outer black keeps or prevents the sun rays from entering the water. And the inner also makes the water look clean or neat all the time. Then additionally, which is not on the market, we have the level indicator. You know, assuming your water tank is on top of a building, 3-story, 4-story, like Joy FM here, and you need water, or you just want to check if the water is clean. Maybe you send one of your guys, please can you go up there and just check here. But with this one from down, you can see, hey, my water is coming down. Maybe I have to call the tankers to come and fill it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's additional nobody has on the market, which is the level indicator.
Okay, and that's what we are seeing there?
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
so this level indicator sits on top of the tank?
On top of the tank.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yes,
because sometimes, and I know, I've been a victim of this, and I'm sure a lot of you watching have been. We try to knock the tank to be sure.
The sound will tell you.
But there was a day I miscalculated. So I actually thought it was full when it was actually empty. So
you see now.
Yes. So what you're saying is right.
And it can bring a lot of wahala at home. Just imagine you're in the bathroom and it just happened like that.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible. I like how you play into where you store your water matters indeed. But you've been a part of Habitat Fair for a very long time.
Yes.
What can you say briefly about your experience with the Habitat Fair and why you keep coming?
Okay. I may not go far, just let's go to 2021. Yeah, we started from Chimota Retail Center, then to West Omo, then finally to the conference center. Yeah, it's like it helps us build our customer base. Okay, there are a lot of people who have heard of us, maybe either reading the newspaper or maybe TV advert, radio advert. But then these fairs give an opportunity for us to interact with prospective customers. At least, like just you asked me, how does the indicator works? You have the opportunity to explain or demonstrate to prospective customers how it works. This pipe, I don't understand, maybe the thickness, then you explain to them. So it gives an opportunity to talk to people directly, then win them more or convince them more why they should purchase Duraplast products, being water tank, being pipe, being the septic tank, or whatever.
So we've got a couple of your products that we're going to be displaying shortly, and I'd like you to run us through each of them. So while we wait for that to come up, tell us what you have to offer, special offers you have for this year's edition of the Habitat Fair.
You know, Duraplast, every Habitat Fair we come with new things, and I can assure you there's something coming. A discount is coming, no two ways about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's run through the products. What is this, and what is it used for?
Yeah, this a plastic pallet. This blue plastic pallet, and this plastic pallet is to replace the wooden ones. You know, we are always cutting trees. We deplete our forest. So we have this plastic pallet. It's washable. If it's for maybe pharmaceutical industry, food processing industry, after every day or every weekend, you just have to just wash it and keep it. So it's always neat. And also with the wooden ones, you know, it produces some
mold sometimes.
Some mold, some termites and those things. And this one doesn't give it a headache.
Okay, all right. So we'll look at the next one.
Yeah, this is the road barrier. Okay, this for construction sites to barricade maybe areas that you think are not safe for maybe pedestrians or people to walk there. Also on the streets, we used to demarcate where maybe you should park, not to park. You see them a lot when you are driving to Ebri, to Pedrasi, you see them to demarcate the road. At airport, it's there to demarcate where maybe passengers will pass and where maybe non-passengers will pass. Yeah, so that's the main purpose of the Durablock.
And they come in different colors. I've actually only seen the red and the yellow. I didn't know that.
Oh, there's blue also. You know, there are some companies where maybe blue is their corporate color, so they want blue, we do it for you. We have green also.
Okay, so you can make custom-made ones?
Not size, but in color, yes.
In color?
In color, yes.
Okay.
In color, yes.
So I'm sure this is a cooler, right?
Yes, we call it multi-purpose box.
Okay.
Okay. And it can be insulated to serve as a cooler. But without the insulation, it serves as ordinary or box. It can be used at Joy FM, like you are going on a scene. You put your mic, your whatever in it. It can be used in the office to store some
equipment,
even documents.
Okay.
Maybe a document scattered in your office, you can keep in it. In your home also, you can use in your home as trunk.
Okay, or maybe even it's a classy trunk that your child can take to school if the school will permit it.
Yes.
Yeah, better than the metal, which keeps cutting people. I mean, I must say that.
Now. Yeah. It's now in most schools, in most boarding houses.
Okay,
now.
That's great.
Then the one for schools come with wheels under.
Oh,
yeah.
Very
so maybe
convenient.
from the car park to your dormitory, you just wheel it. Then that's it.
That's very convenient.
That's very nice.
What's this next one?
Yeah, this pipe.
Okay.
This pipe for not for our homes, but then for industrial projects. Okay. Yeah, you see Ghana Water buying a lot of these to for water projects, maybe to villages or new settlements, and these are the type of pipes they use.
Interesting. You actually have a wide range of products, eh?
It's good. Yeah. And these are the fittings for the pipes.
Okay.
Okay. Normally for the joints, yeah, just to hold it.
Secure them.
Yeah, secure them.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's just a lot, and I'm sure that there will be more to see. More of your questions will be answered when you visit the first clinic of the Joy News Habitat Fair, which is coming off at the Achimota Retail Center. So finally, let me just find out from you. You've told us what makes Water Tank unique. You've showed us some of your products. You said you have special offers for this year's edition. Your final words, sir.
Yes. First, I'll thank Joy FM for this opportunity, which we've used to showcase and also to let the market know what Duraplast has in stock. Then I also want to, like I said, I want to tell general public to visit the fair. That's from this Friday, 22nd, to Sunday, 24th. Yeah. Yeah, Duraplast is going to be there, and we are going to give you nice discounts, very, very good offers. I don't want to give figures here, but then I can assure you, you'll come there and it will be fantastic.
Thank you so much, sir. Emmanuel Owusu.
Ofori
Entry, yes. Emmanuel Ofori Entry is with Duraplast, head of sales there. Like you mentioned, this Friday, 22nd to Sunday, 24th of July, our first clinic at the Achimota Retail Center will be happening from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And so please do find your way there. Come, we have a wide range of giveaways. We have webinars. It's like a one-stop shop for all your housing needs. If you have enquiries, please call 054-690-8179 or 054-011-0389. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the planned city extension project from Cities and Habitats Rent to Earn. It's also sponsored by Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, where quality meets value. Virtual Security Africa, Complete Security Solutions, Superlock Technologies Limited, you deserve the best. DBS Industries Limited, we truly are your roof experts. Duraplast Limited, where Duraplast goes, water flows. And Gold Key Properties, building prestige since 1997. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, where you live matters. I will be back. Benjamin will join me and we will head to Swame, where, you know, there was a bit of a confrontation with residents there and the MP for the area. The good news is we are being told that 1.5 kilometers of that stretch of road they were protesting about will have an asphalt overlay by Friday. We'll be there. Do stay. We're back. Benjamin is here.
Yeah. We definitely are.
We'll
be heading to Swame.
Yes, please.
Because a lot has been happening. Brief us.
Indeed. So we know that 2 days ago, the majority leader, who is MP for the area, decided to pay his constituency.
Who's been MP since 1996?
You know, he's called Swame Mugabe.
Ah.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Yeah, because he's been there for so long. And so the residents said, we've had enough of this. And I mean, I don't endorse their attitude, but the minister, the MP himself says he understands them.
Right.
Okay? The people are frustrated. They say the bad roads, they're threatening lives there, and it's also hampering business. We know that place is a hub for auto mechanics.
So they are basically saying we're now having to cover our wear because you know what dust can do to these parts.
And even people don't want to come there because the roads are bad. So
talk of the health concerns also.
Exactly. Our man Ohiming Teria is there for us. He reported on this incident and he's back there because we are hearing some good news. The contractors say there will be some 1.5 kilometer stretch of that road they were protesting about. They say it will have an asphalt overlay by Friday. Ohiming, has this news gotten to those who were protesting and how have they been reacting?
See you live from Swame Magazine here And for the artisans here, they are yet to receive information that the contractor, as he promised yesterday, that by Friday he will be done with at least 1.5 kilometer of asphalt overlay, and this will continue the following day in what they describe as progressive, construction timetable. So what it means is that once they are on site, they are not stopping until they are done with the construction of the road and network here in Swame Magazine. So for the artisans and the spare parts dealers, they are yet to receive this information. And as you can see, I'm in face mask because of the dusty nature of the road. Just a few minutes ago when we arrived, the road network used very dusty, but some minutes ago I saw a truck, trying to water the road here. Yesterday, this is where the contractor and the workers were trying to fix the particular stretch. So what they have done now is to make it a way for the spraying and then the application of asphalt overlay beginning Friday in this regard. Say yes, indeed, things are happening. The artisans are not even aware of the situation here. So let me speak to this gentleman here. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. My name is Mahmoud Aziz. I'm speaking from Swame.
Okay, so are you aware that the contractor says he will start the application of asphalt overlay come this Friday? Are you aware?
I'm not aware. Then the last Friday ago, the demonstration that took over at Swame Magazine, and the Honorable Chairman is supposed to come and plead to the Swame constituency that they will come and do the road for us. And yesterday we were here, and the contractor just come and just clean the road that he come to start. But as this morning I'm talking to you, the contractor couldn't bother. He will come to check whether the dust is going on, whether off and on, and they just come now and just water the road for us. But here we are suffering. We are suffering a lot. We are suffering a lot. How the dust is over us, we are suffering. Even when we come to market, our things, dust come on it. Even someone come to purchase and see, he don't want to buy.
Okay, so people think that your battery here, the car batteries are old. Is that what you are saying? Because yes, they are all covered in dust.
Yeah, they are all covered in dust. So when someone comes, he thinks it's old, but it's brand new batteries.
And how is this seriously impacting on your business?
It has made my business decrease. It's just decreasing. It's just decreasing down. How things was going forward, it just, as they cut short the road, it just doing things slowly. And market is not going as we are expected it will be.
So on Monday, when there was demonstration and people started throwing sachet water and other items on the Member of Parliament, Honorable Chairman Sabusu and his entourage, were you among the people who did this?
I will not amount, but I saw the roaming about, and when it came to news, I saw it, but it was not my zeal to go there and do that kinds of things because...
Were you actually in support of what they did?
Oh, what they did, I'm not supporting, but it approved to our leaders that they would do something for the nation.
Okay. So now, do you believe that the contractor will surely complete the work once he is back on site?
Please, I just know that they are just pampering and they are just playing with Ghanaians. That's what I know, because this work they come and done it has caused a big accident at Bramaya Bushiakrua, and someone has lost his loss, and the family members has lost their relative. So I just know that they are playing with the nation, they are playing with the city. They don't care about us. Our leaders, they don't care about us. That's why I know.
Okay, so this gentleman from Swame Magazine, we are reaching you live from the Matthias Junction here in Swame Magazine. And the gentleman we just spoke to thinks that politicians are playing with the hearts of Ghanaians, especially when the road construction here, it has been awarded to a contract, and the contractors are expected to work. They've delayed, and it has cost the life of somebody. And so he thinks that, yes, it's not going the way they expect. And so let me speak to this man here. Good morning.
Morning, Master.
I didn't know I wash your face mask.
And foot on you can say, a burn my to me, who are young Kwan, young Wahan say. Tiasra binding and painful. And can say, Chairman Sasia Serena, Ummo, you know, Maya Kwan, my, and they say, I won't cheer.
Okay, Ben, he says he's in face mask because of the dusty nature of the road here. His shop is just by the roadside here, and because of the dust, he's unable to work and he has to be in face mask. So he's appealing to government, especially the Member of Parliament, to fix this road. Me Mr. say can't put you as a man. You might be part now. You know, never so many Ben the amount.
Me electric weather. You truck block machine near you one musino. Say ya didn't so more recent foot na changing in color. Open to you and foot na seno. So say you crack to be so less and so you want ma. And with so run man and so you fit ultimately.
So he's into manufacturing of trucks and then a block machine. And he says he's been manufacturing them, producing them in their numbers. But because of the dusty nature of the road, people come and they assume that the machines are not brand new, they are not new, so they decline in buying them. Even when they buy food and then leave it, let's say for a few seconds before you get water to wash your hands, to come back and then eat your food, you realize the entire place will be food will be covered by dust. And he said, food the amount for bano moon tomu no mana. Assembly and Motaka.
You guys say, go come be the general Nippon class about and say, I did painting foot on and so say, I didn't that. So, yes, and that and mono. A bit map translated the whole day Cranian toward because foot trying it on time. Because I buy no macra maybe so to me so also for machine I beton you say to me so.
It's Canadian a woman acquired and then put on in your casino. Number about what you told the doorbell say and then put on by high motor say.
So Canadian and foot on in so above for machine be a duck with me to 10, block machine to 5, 6. I know call you be ma. I know it. By the say that the old bands are catasso. Yantofi can woman be to so near to near to the Kamamaya.
Okay, so he says they used to make good sales from the shop here, especially the fufu pounding machine. In a day, they were making at least 10 sales. But because of the dusty nature of the road here, they are not even making one in a day. And with a block machine, they used to sell at least 6 of them in a day. But currently, the situation is quite different, and it's really, really affecting their business. They say, "Diana, move here."
Chopper, and in your slow mouse, my near your toy cacran, and yes, I said, yeah, you could feel a lot of fair crying, and quit me until I could through Cononom. Nothing on anti-free, I said to Cononom. Because a lot of fair crazy are buying ya, and not to concern your confro,
all right, so he's making also an interesting point with the fact that now when they come to work, because sales are not good, they go home, then they have to walk or trek all the way from Swame to Kronum, which is about, let's say, more than 15 kilometers, because they are not making any good sales from the products they are producing here. So let me speak to this man here. He also appears to be in face mask. Chief, good morning.
Fine morning.
Let us say,
Yanko pardon.
Jumamu to say,
Yanko pardon, eh?
Yapa, not just what you only how be.
Yeah, be your hobby.
How bad our war is a quite and this was so bad at the abroad.
How are you want to say? Tama na wo metwitwa so no na ye niema na yetimi bue so se niema no yakata so a yebra yentimi mue so e se obue so na mfuturo na wuram mfuturo no wuram so aya na akwakoye tantantan wo bra ya penti no na akwakoye tantantan nti ma yentimi emue so.
All right, he's telling me because of the dusty nature of the road, they are being forced to cover the things that they have produced here. Talking about the block machines, what happens is that after production they have to paint them for it to look new, but because of the dust, and then the fufu pounding machines as well, but because of the dust they are being forced to cover them in a way to prevent the dust from reaching them. Now normal auto you work attack so better no be who to be
sir didn't you go back and say no obia so ma ha wona mfuturo ni nti no o mo side ha other side na wo mu ntwa kwan no so no is them ya wo mu ko other side no ho no mo akwakoto nti ye ba betre ha no mo a ye se iska kura ye nya bi nti ye kra ye ha wona se ka kwan no ko mu nya ready se wo mtuma wo nya nema wo mtuma ba gugusu dia anka o tembi o mu fa nsuo emeguso ma yen na mfuturo na ebo no na mfuturo ni susu na ye mu ye nema no so na ye ntimi nto ye nema no ema yen.
Oh, okay. So he's saying that if the contractor is not ready to complete the road construction here, he expects that at least he shouldn't have done the grading or remove the top soil here because that is contributing to the dust in this or on this particular stretch. So for them, they are not comfortable with what is happening here at Swame magazine. Now, Mammy Misa, and I know said, Mabuni, Omutu, Sioni, and Norma Bro, Nabu Chairman Sabos, no for us.
Me support.
I didn't see.
Oh, me support is a Nipano or your opinion. No. And it's a Nipano or class, Minas or Babacan. As you tain and the Numasama or Babaka train. That's what Tienas or Canas or what being Sabia. No one in Atlas, no more to sue as some no. And then supporters are happening yet. Okay,
so he tells me he's not in support of the attack on the honourable member of parliament for this area, Honourable Chairman Sabonso. He thinks that they should have allowed him to sort of give the information that he came to deliver to the artisans here. And so for Swame magazine, especially here at Matthias Junction, the artisans and the spare parts dealers and the traders here are uncomfortable with the situation because of the dusty nature of the road here. They are being forced to lose several thousands of Ghana cedis they are producing, but unfortunately there's low sales for these items they are producing here.
Great, Ohiming Teria there joining us from Swame, the magazine enclave, giving us details and an update on what happened there some 2 days ago when the MP for the area visited the area. Benjamin, it's now time to pick calls. It will be great to hear from you. We've been talking about a lot of things today. We've spoken about the Marburg virus, and before that conversation, we heard from some of you who said you didn't know anything about it, but we got some education, thankfully. And then Benjamin
You didn't know, now you know.
Now you know. Benjamin hosted Roxin Dapiamepo.
Right.
And you had
the chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament.
Yes.
Very important issue there, crucial one. We're talking about the National Ambulance Service and the fact that 31-year-old Augustina lost her life in Fijai on the back of, lacking an ambulance and being requested to pay 600 cedis to fuel the ambulance. Now, that is an illegality. The matter is before Parliament, and there's a whole lot to talk about. But if you have a personal experience or you've heard of something, you can share with us by calling us. But we've been discussing other matters as well.
Exactly.
Asum the latest Afro Barometer report and what it says about how Ghanaians feel about
where the
leadership of the country, where the country is headed, and the economic outlook. So a whole lot to talk about this morning.
Exactly. So the numbers to call 0302 211 691 extension 2. When you call, please listen to us over the phone. Just put your television on mute, okay, so we don't have any feedback and delays when you call. There was a gentleman who called while you were having that conversation.
The ambulance conversation.
On the ambulance, right. And he wanted to share his experience. He was joining us, was it the Western region or the Western North? I'm not too sure. I'd love for him to call and share his experience with us. But if you have any experience to share, please, and tell us what you think we can do to solve the problem. Because like Benjamin said, this is an illegality, and it's about life.
Do you know how long it's been going on, according to Professor Zakaria? Yes. 16 years.
Yes, and that's why Mr. Dafiamepo thinks that he should actually resign, because he's been watching on for an illegality to continue, for this long. But I'm not sure he's been the head for 16 years.
He's been there for long. I don't know whether it's
but
up
not
to
exactly
16 years.
So. Yeah, because I remember when he came in. But the thing is this, Benjamin, this is human life you're talking about. When it's lost, you can't get it back. So why not save the life first? Well, Mercy is joining us from a fan called Barrier. Hello, Mercy. Good morning. Let's hear you.
Good morning to you guys. In fact, Ghana, as a country now, we the citizens, it's just unfortunate that we are going through a lot. In fact, things are hard, things are difficult and everything. And hearing the news about the pregnant woman is so sad. But I think for me, I wouldn't fault them, though it is illegal. I wouldn't fault them for them to say that the pregnant woman should pay, because to tell you the truth, these people are not giving money to even repair the ambulance. We have so many ambulances that are not being fixed, and they are just lying there. And so I think that the whole system is is bad. And it's high time that, citizens or Kenyans realize that it is not about my mother belongs to MPP, my daddy belongs to NDC. So automatically, because you are born into a particular political party or your family has this one-way political party, you go and you vote without thinking what is happening, without analyzing the situation at hand. So I think the youth should rise. We should rise. We should know what is best for the country. There are so many things that are going on which is bad, and we pray that the government will listen to the cries of Ghanaians and actually do something for us. It is so sad. It is so sad.
Thank you so much,
anyway, but in fact, it is not easy for us. I know Bennett, you know me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Mercy there joining us.
I am particularly thrilled, before we go to Aben, that Mercy called. Sometimes there's a paucity of female callers. Yes. I'm happy that she's called, especially on this issue.
Yes, it's good to hear from her. And like she says, look, we need to get out of this thinking of I belong to this party or that party.
What is working for you if it's not working?
And you see, when you call an ambulance service, you'll not be asked which party you belong to.
That's a good one.
Just think about that. Yeah. Okay, so we have Aben from Mamprobi. Hello, Aben. Let's hear you.
I also want to make a comment on this ambulance service.
Please go ahead.
A relative of mine was being transported from Bo to Accra. I don't want to go so much, but the fellow was charged 700 cities for petrol. So I'm not saying you should investigate the ambulance service, but rather to resource them. To resource them so that these issues will be minimized. Thank you.
Thank you, Aben. We have Ajara from Tamale. Hello, Ajara. Let's hear you.
Yes. I think that they shouldn't put pressure on the ambulance driver because when you look at the whole thing, they don't give them fuel. They don't give them fuel. They only stand there with the empty ambulance, and if there's emergency, the people have to give them money to buy the fuel. I'm a victim to that because I fell sick and they were supposed to rush me to the hospital. They called the ambulance. When they called them, they told them that they don't have fuel. If we can afford some 200 Ghana cedis for them to come and pick me to the hospital. And really, they don't even give receipt. They will explain themselves to you. So it's not their fault. I will not blame them. They should blame the government or the authority.
Thank you, Ajara. We seem to have a lot of people calling.
That's an interesting
to share their personal experience.
But even as we talk health and the ambulance services and all of that, how about we also look at what you've been discussing?
Yeah, the Marburg virus. Yes, if you're interested in telling us anything or commenting about it, we'll be glad to hear it. We have a caller from.
We also want to know actually how much do you know about the Marburg virus? It's important.
Yeah.
Call and share with us.
All right, Parker is joining us from Cape Coast. Good morning to you. Let's hear you.
Hello. Good morning. Yeah, I have a similar experience when we have to pay for ambulance service.
Hello, Parker. Sorry to interrupt. We can hardly hear you. Can you speak up a bit, please?
Yeah, I'm saying I have a similar experience. Yeah, over the weekend, we had to pay for an ambulance service to a hospital, and then there was a referral, so we have to pay a second prayer for the referral as well. The only difference is, you see, they were not demanding the money upfront.
Okay.
That is the only difference with that, but we had to pay double.
So they actually, so they took care of your relative or loved one before.
Yeah, they took care of it. Yeah.
Okay.
From where to where were you moving?
Because there was a referral, and we had to take it to a different place.
From where to where did you move?
Well, I want to make it private. I don't want to.
Okay, sure, Parker, we understand. Yeah, but just conclude on what you were saying.
We do it just the way the fire service runs. That was what I was asking them. Can't we pay a levy just like fire service we pay with our utilities and all that? Can't we do that? You see, and you don't get receipt for what you pay. They will tell you it's a contribution towards running the facility.
Thank you so much for calling, Parker.
Something else that comes to mind. While they may be doing this because, yes, genuinely, there's a shortage because we spoke about 10 million spread around, so they have basically about 2,000 cities plus for fuel. But I'm thinking, how about instances where some officials know that because this is the system, even when they have fuel, They will tell you there's no fuel so that they get the
You're
money.
thinking just like I am, because I was just about to say, how do we verify if these monies are actually used, like in Parker's case, where
because there's no accountability.
Yeah, and there's no receipt to show for the payment. Well, we have a last caller from Wale Wale. Hello, Ibrahim. Good morning. Thank you for joining the program. Let's hear you. Hello, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, are you there?
Oh, it would,
too bad.
It would hurt me if we didn't have. Can we see whether we can take another caller? Just another one too.
Well, we lost him, unfortunately, Ibrahim. We are sorry. And to that gentleman who called while the conversation was going, thank you for calling. But at that time, we couldn't take phone in. So I asked him to call at this time. Unfortunately, we couldn't hear from him. But Benjamin, look, it's sad. Anybody can have an emergency at any time.
I could have an emergency.
Now. We can be here.
Right now.
Yes. I just read of a Nigerian actress who slumped in her chair at an event and she was gone.
Yeah.
So this should be of concern to everybody.
And you know something else? Someone may say, oh, but maybe you have a vehicle, so someone could drive you. The difference is, in some conditions, an ambulance offers you the sort of, you have to lie down a certain way, your body and all of that. You will not get that from a saloon vehicle.
Emergency care sometimes, timely care, which the ambulance can give you while you're en route to a hospital or a health facility. So look, I actually think that this should not even be a conversation we should be having in 2022, okay, about ambulance services and whether they're fueled or not. It should be something that is sorted. This should be something that we've done long time ago. We're moving on to more challenges.
All the promises that have been made over time, ambulances, and we've purchased this, and we promised to get this, and all of that. What happened to them? Why is it that in the 21st century, you have women at the backs of taxis, crammed in there? In some areas, there are no access routes. So they have to sit on motorbikes, a pregnant woman who is due for delivery.
And that's why I'm saying that we should have sorted this long ago. So by now we are thinking about other things to deal with. So we are progressing as a society. Anyway, we have to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining the show. Before we go, well, something to smile about. Hello, Ghana. Happy moment this year. Let's Storm World Cup Qatar 2022 with Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water from Casa Preco Company Limited. Simply buy your favorite Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water, and text the 4-digit unique number on the neck of the bottle to short code *780# option 2. *780# option 2, and follow the prompt on all networks for free. Be one of the lucky winners to this year's World Cup in the monthly draw. You can also win TVs, fridges, microwave ovens, mobile phones, home theaters, free drinks and more instantly. Please don't waste any time. Just grab a bottle of Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water, and let's storm Qatar this World Cup. This promotion is on the NLA Caritas platform, and this advert is FDA approved. Remember, terms and conditions apply.
Well, just a bit of an update. A person who is not required to register for VAT may voluntarily apply to be registered. A voluntary applicant shall be registered as a taxable person where the Commissioner General is satisfied that the person has a fixed place of abode or business, or reasonably believes that the person keeps proper accounting records related to any business activity carried on by that person, submits regular and reliable tax returns, or reasonably believes that the person is a fit and proper person to be registered. Just so you know. And on that note, this is how we draw the curtains on the AM show for another morning.
Great. Thank you so much. Do make time tomorrow, 6 a.m. We are back here, and obviously we will discuss what matters to you, and hopefully our leaders will be listening and changing the course of this nation's destiny. But for now, we have to leave. News
now
desk.
We'll leave you with some swag.
News desk is next.